Sunny and breezy conditions through the afternoon with northwest winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour, highs around 60. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620, The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. Good morning and happy Thursday. Roads looking pretty good here in the early hours. No accidents, slow-moving traffic, or any obstructions in any traffic lanes to report thus far. And it looks like it should be a pretty good weather day, nothing that should impact visibility or driving. Just remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Sol's Jewelry and Loan.
If you have a large amount of gold or precious metals and want the best price with no waiting, Sol's makes it easy and fast. Any amount of gold, silver, or jewelry, no limit, immediate payment. Sol's Jewelry and Loan.
Woodhouse Lincoln wants to redefine your driving experience with our stunning lineup of Lincoln vehicles. Lease a 2023 Lincoln Nautilus for $499 a month for 39 months, 10,500 miles per year. Come visit us in store off 114th and Giles Road or online anytime at woodhouselincoln.com. With approved credit, security deposit waived, $1,500 down payment plus first payment, and $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/2024. See dealer for details.
I'm Patrick Claybon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Bears quarterback Justin Fields has been subject to trade rumors since Chicago secured the number 1 and number 9 overall picks in the 2024 draft. Fields addressed the matter while being a guest on the St. Brown Brothers podcast this week, saying in part, quote, "I can't see myself playing in another place, but I know how the league is. If it was up to me, I would stay in Chicago. I love the city, but it's a business, so whatever happens, happens." Meanwhile, the Bears made history Wednesday, adding Jennifer King to the coaching staff as an assistant running back coach. King becomes the first female coach in the franchise's 104-year history. There are currently 12 women in full-time coaching roles on 9 NFL teams. Patriots' new offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt said, quote, "Anything is on the table" when asked if Mac Jones can be the starter next season. Van Pelt also said he plans to run a similar offense to Kevin Stefanski with the Cleveland Browns. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor, an indexed annuity tied to growth in the stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. It's guaranteed money for life income, no matter how long you live. Call 888-509-2228. 888-509-2228. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, North Carolina. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial professional before making an investment decision.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home this Wednesday to take on Seton Hall at 8 p.m. for a bide night and a blue out. Limited tickets are still available for this primetime Wednesday night matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling while telling a customer to leave the room, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska-brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Called Testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text MAIN to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text MAIN to 42424. That's MAIN to 42424. Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
The backseat. Check the backseat. All right, come here. Check the backseat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the backseat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
1620 The Zone.
It's tough to win on the road in the Big Ten, but Nebraska finally solves the puzzle. Their first conference road win as they'll close it out in Bloomington.
Casey had a heater in that first half. Our guys did a great job finding him. And Jamarcus Lawrence is just absolutely phenomenal. Hit huge shots for us. Really proud of our guys. We needed this one.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Hey, guys. Great to see you.
Hey, good to see you as well. Hey, good to talk to all of you. Good Thursday.
It is Thursday.
It is Thursday, man.
It's celebrating, baby.
Hey, you either tip one or you stay away from one, depending on what you're out there to get.
That's true.
You know what? Go Big Fred. Who needed that win last night was Sports Talk Radio, because the conversation would have just been bam, 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 just hitting your head to the wall after losing another road game. But Nebraska basketball goes into Indiana and dominates the Hoosiers.
And I called it.
Yes, you did. And
good job, Nick.
So for people who didn't listen to the show yesterday, Nick said he's struggling here.
Yeah.
He's on the wrong side of the ledger when it comes to betting on Nebraska.
Yep.
So we went with the reverse jinx. And what did you say the score was?
74-68.
All right.
Yep.
So you predicted Indiana was going to win.
Yep. I said
So
$134-17.
don't throw hate at my partner. That's what he did, and it worked.
Sacrifice.
And so Nick has already said that Minnesota 103, Nebraska 56.
Yeah, it's going to be brutal.
On Sunday.
It's going to be brutal, guys.
Bobby Jackson,
You're going to the game
56 points
Sunday.
for the Gophers.
Early evening Sunday. Man, get your lunch in, get your dinner in early, because you're going to be want to tossing it up. It's going to be bad on Sunday.
And
thank you, Nick. You're doing it for us.
This is my Richie game. So Richie and Papillion, my one game a year that I take Richie. I got Richie on Sunday.
Giants fan, Richie?
Yes, Giants fan, Richie.
Okay.
Yes. So
going into PBA like Mark Bavaro through 4 Niners.
If he is a good boy, we go to one Nebraska basketball game a year, and
been good.
Sunday is our game.
Sunday's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's already debating, is it going to be nice enough outside to wear shorts?
Yes.
It
almost
is.
70.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
But this is what happened last night, and it was so typical Nebraska basketball. Is the roller coaster that you go on, whether it be with your basketball team or players that are on the particular team. But first and foremost, they needed to change the conversation, because the conversation is being dominated by the fact that they haven't won a game on the road in the Big Ten, despite having numerous opportunities to close it out. They go into a place last night that Indiana, we're going to have some speaks about the Hoosiers, because they are the laissez-faire of the Big Ten.
Yeah, poor Woody.
And
I like Woody.
Yeah, I do too. I think
Former
he likes,
Kansas City Kings great.
I think he likes IU. I think he bleeds, Hoosiers. He's one of them. I just think sometimes it's difficult for NBA guys. This is where Hoiberg's a little bit different because he had the college experience first. But NBA guys to approach a 30-game season with a sense of urgency every single night where you're used to playing 82 games. But Hoiberg's team, they had to change the conversation because if they don't win last night, you now go another week about, well, you can't win on the road, and now you're firmly on the bubble.
Right.
And good on Nebraska last night. They changed the conversation, and I'll throw it out there at 6:12 in the morning because you know what the resume is. I haven't looked at any of the metrics. I refuse to look at the metrics. I just watched the games.
I looked at a bracket this morning.
Are you putting on your dancing shoes if you are a Nebraska fan? Have you firmly put them on your feet? Maybe you haven't tied them. Maybe you still got the old school Velcro, which I loved. I thought that was like the greatest invention where you didn't have to tie your shoes. You just had Velcro. Hell, kids nowadays don't tie their shoes anyhow.
No, they don't.
They're barely on their feet.
Yeah.
But if you are a Nebraska basketball fan and you watched that game at Assembly Hall last night and you wondered, why is Chris Tucker a friend of Mike Woodson?
I was wondering that too.
The end
I have a
result,
theory.
have you put your dancing shoes on and are you ready on Selection Sunday, now about 3 weeks away, to say, Nebraska, welcome to the tournament. NCAA, you mind if we dance in your tournament?
Yeah, this is more than just trying them on and seeing if it fits. Yeah, maybe you still have the box in case you need to return them, but you're doing a little bit more than just, all right, is this the right size?
You guys have taught me to be very guarded.
They should be on.
So that's
okay.
No, but here's the thing of a Nebraska basketball fan, okay? You got to embrace it because it's gonna kick you below the waist. Okay, you just have to know that going.
Ooh, I know
in.
this.
And then there's other times it's gonna make you really like happy, and you're gonna go to bed last night. And you're gonna like, ooh, I kind of feel good. I like me some Jamarcus Lawrence. I like me some Bryce Williams. I don't care whatever happened to Boogie Coleman, but I like me the other guys. And Casey,
Boogie,
I bow down to you.
I like how you just got a boogie in there, too. You got a little boogie in there.
Where'd he go?
That guy, I don't know.
We were talking about milk cartons the other day.
Yeah.
You're going to go to your grocery store and go, hey, Boogie Coleman is here.
As far as I know, he was part of the team meditation yesterday.
Yeah,
but anything more than that, I don't know.
I think there's 4 games to go. I think if your dancing shoes are not on your feet, Pavelka's going to come to your workplace and he's going to give you the business because you should have them on your feet. Now, in terms of tying them, I'm not ready to go there yet, but they should be firmly on your feet. They should be nice and comfy. If you wear a size 11, don't go and get a 10.5. You know what? You know what they say about big feet?
Big socks.
Yes. Go 11.5. That's where I would be after last night and that win against Indiana.
It had to go down the way it did last night too, right?
Oh, yeah.
It had
for the brand.
Yes,
yeah,
it,
for the brand.
It had to go down where
I even said that to my wife. You know this is going to get tight.
Yep, you're peaking at 22, then it's a 20-point halftime.
You were whispering sweet nothings to your wife about Nebraska basketball?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You might become one of us.
We were all in. Yeah. Both TVs in the house were.
Yeah. See that Casey back cut there? Gosh, that was sexy. You're up 22 actually right out of the break in the second half, right out of the gate there. And then that starts dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. Then all of a sudden, once it's a 3-point game, you're like, I mean, in a way, it was sort of like, in a very cruel way, sort of self-fulfilling that, this is supposed to happen. I mean, this is just because you're seeing that go from like single digits. And then all of a sudden Assembly Hall just starts becoming alive again. And all of a sudden a very porous shooting team, especially at the free throw line, but also as a 3-point shooting team, starts hitting a couple of buckets here. They're dominating in the paint, and you're like, this is going to be the undoing. And this is the play. I swear, guys, that it probably was not talked about enough, but it was out of the media timeout. Nebraska's up 3. Indiana has the ball. They get a great look in the corner. They get initially an offensive board.
You'll see what he just laughed about.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah.
An offensive board, and it was Sam Hoiberg who scoops out of Khalil's arms, gets the transition going. They get the ball out to Jamarcus Lawrence, and they stop that. That moment of Sam Hoiberg, because right there, Khalil's like, I mean, he's right there for a putback, Khalil Ware. And so it's probably a 1-point game. Unless he goes to the free throw line. That would have been probably a good strategy. But the fact that Sam Hoiberg's able to get that ball out and then that kind of thwarted their run, gets Nebraska a little bit of a cushion, and then at that point, you're kind of keeping them at arm's length. That was it. That was just like a huge little moment that probably won't be discussed as much, but that to me was like, okay, that could have made it a 1-point game. Hell, maybe you get an and one, maybe it's a tie game, and then who knows? If they draw even or even take the lead in that game, who the hell knows?
So I have trust issues, okay? So
same.
You know, I mean, ask the ladies in my life. I have some trust issues. I also have some commitment issues, but that doesn't have anything to do with Nebraska basketball. So when I say if you think they're dancing, and remember, I had to go off the rails a little bit the other day. I said, just win. Okay, I don't want to hear about metrics. I don't want to hear about Bart. I don't want to hear about Ken. I don't want to hear about the net guy. Okay, I just want to hear about a victory.
Yeah.
And you can only take care of yourself and what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. And they did last night against a team that isn't very good. I get that. Indiana is on the struggle bus, and they're on the major struggle bus where boos are raining down at all places, Assembly Hall. But they had to do what they did, and you just got to keep winning. The shoes are on. The shoes to go dancing are on. But until you get 3 weeks from Sunday, I'm not going to tie them yet because I don't trust what could happen when it's not entirely in your hands. But what you can control is victories. Now, the thing about last night and kind of the way that game unfolded is what was more impressive from the Nebraska basketball standpoint. And you can factor in the whole season how it's gone. The start where I said you got to punch them early, and they did, and they scored 51 in the first half, and they were rolling. Threes were raining. Tominaga was having a Steph Curry kind of night. He was, he was injecting stuff into his veins. Which
it's the cool thing to do, man.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen that as a technical. Frankie Fiddler last year in the Summit League tournament hit a 3 in front of the South Dakota State bench and did that, and they teamed him up. Yeah, he may.
Perhaps it was a tribute to diabetics.
He may have followed up with, how you like that, Zeke?
He does the Ozempic dance.
But what is more impressive last night is the quick start on the road where you're wearing the collar. Mm-hmm. You score 51. The offense is moving. You're also playing really, really good defense. Your leading scorer, rebounder, and assist man wasn't a factor at all last night in Mast. Or the fact when Indiana goes on, what it ended up being a 23-5 run to get back into the game. They get it as close as 59-56. And then boom, Nebraska goes on a 14-1 run. The start or the resolve was the most impressive last night.
The resolve. I cannot stress that enough. And the start was imperative. It was, given the state that Indiana's in right now. And we talked about this yesterday, and we also kind of talked about Creighton with St. John's. If you're able to take the will out of a team early that's maybe kind of reeling or, kind of thinking about the offseason already, knowing they're not going to the postseason, you put that issue no longer in doubt early in that game. How does that team respond? And so I think it was important, but the resolve without question, it was the biggest moment because that's still a team, in my opinion, that is very much aware of what they've done on the road and very much aware that they've had games in hand before. That Minnesota game where they were up by as much as 17 at one point. When that thing starts to shrink and that place becomes alive, and it's only human to think, Jesus, I mean, is this ever going to happen? Are we snake bit?
I like the resolve, but I'm gonna go with, because you're on the road and everybody is telling you shouldn't do this, this, and this. For them to punch early, they didn't commit their first turnover till 12:38 was left in the first half. On the road, I'm not discounting the resolve to punch a 14-1 run when it gets within 3 and you make some key plays.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you're not in that position at all if you don't have a good first 20. Now, I hated the start of the second half. The night before, I love what Creighton did. Creighton punched, and they kept punching against UConn, and they came out and they punched right away in the second half, and they had, a stretch of where they made some big-time plays, and even though UConn got within 10, they weren't going to get, over the hump. Last night, you're not in that situation if you don't have a monster first half where you play a pretty good about 16 minutes, because then you're just in a slogfest the entire night against a bad basketball team that is dragging you down.
That's a good point. Yeah, I really do believe that start, it was imperative. But what gave me the most confidence about this team on what they can do beyond just the regular season, like I said, they had to go through that last night. It would have been really It still would have been satisfying if they blow the doors off again. Go to their first possession of the second half where they're able to increase it by 22. They get I think what was it, a lob dunk, or you got some.
Oh, they probably shot a three. Because they started settling for threes
they did.
at the
You're right.
beginning of the second half.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was like, you know what? Somebody left quarters on the pop-up shot machine, so let's just keep putting them in there because we get free basketballs.
Yeah, that's good. But for them to kind of see that typical road theme play out when they have got off to a good start, to dwindle down to three, where it looks like, okay, we know how this goes. For them to be able to quell that and then to kind of go on a run of their own and close the game out, to me, that allows me to think a bigger picture with this team. That allows me to think of, okay, not only did you finally get the road victory, but you had to go through that moment again. And this time you had the answer. Hopefully that goes a long way with their confidence.
Here, especially defensively.
Yes, very much so.
What they've been able to do. So I know you guys are my computer experts on the show. I am not. I have actually blocked Bart, Ken, Net, and what other site? Evan. I block those sites.
It's like a law firm.
Mike, I have to do it to myself. Sometimes I don't have control. So I don't want to put my life in the hands of a computer. Like I'm going to be slow to jump onto the AI bandwagon.
Same. Too much work.
But and probably for computers, last night probably doesn't resonate. Other than a quad 2 game, you had a blowout, which
you won on the road by 15.
It's important as we learn about quads, and you don't live in them. Well, kind of you do. It's important to blow out 3s and 4s when you have the opportunity to do that. So
just
probably
don't blow out your quads.
The computers are not going to get all warm and fuzzy about a win at Indiana against a middling, struggling basketball team.
Right.
But that win was for Nebraska last night, and they did what was the most important thing. And at the end of the night, when they sounded the bell, they went to center court, and Kelly Pfeiffer raised Fred Hoiberg's hand, and he said, "You are the winner."
Man, I wish you would have done that.
I like Kelly Pfeiffer.
They had some interesting.
So does Jacob.
Hey, Kelly Pfeiffer kind of took over. He was like pro Nebraska. He's like, man, I live in Mitchell, South Dakota. I'm closer to Lincoln than I am to Bloomington. Win Nebraska.
Well,
and then he got overruled by Eric Curry.
Yeah,
on a key part.
There was a couple of the
former Minnesota Twin marketing director Eric Curry.
Nice. Oh, really? That's a nugget.
Yeah, Gary Sharp and Eric Curry have sat in a room together and discussed promotion.
Did you always know his passion for officiating?
Win twins win.
I didn't like him with Minnesota. I'll tell you that.
Well, Kelly Pfeiffer even had to play the role of, hey, everyone settle down after the out of bounds, which, by the way, was correctly called by the officials. I know Indiana fans did not like that, but
they don't like a lot.
Yeah,
these days.
It was. You could hear him in his post game too, like just the relief. Fred's let people in a little bit more. I don't think he can help it. I think this has been a little bit more of an emotional season because I think he wants it so bad for this team, and he sees how good they can be. And it's just been, those home to road splits are just almost unexplainable. I can imagine from that coaching staff and Fred himself. So I think it's great for him to show that relief, to show that, that exuberance, that excitement that they had after a game like that you're right. In the entire world of college basketball, with all of the great finishes last night, very few people are looking at what happened in Bloomington, Indiana as a major basketball development but for Nebraska, that was huge. There's no other way. We get it, what Indiana is. I'm not going to confuse them for even a decent team in the Big Ten. That's a bad team, but that was a road win, and that was a road win where you were up, and then that thing got tight, and then you had the answer to close the thing out. And then as it all matters when it comes to net rankings and everything that goes into your resume, 15-point on the road victory will matter for Nebraska.
All right, can you look up what metrics there are?
So I was looking at net, and I was looking at the B-ball. What is it? What is that one? Oh, come on. Neither ones were updated yet.
Okay.
So I have no updates.
Well, we
on
had
that.
late Mountain West basketball.
Yeah, B-ball net was not ranked. Or
the
was
best
not
Mountain West
updated as well. So
hey, Mountain West basketball with the coaches and the atmospheres.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
That is good late night viewing. Last night, the Colorado State New Mexico game was one to stay up for. This is like we're on a nice little stretch here. Some good college basketball. I went with the 4-box last night before the Nebraska game started.
Big deal.
You had the chaotic finish between Illinois and Penn State, where Penn State came back and won. Bad night for Coleman Hawkins, or at least the last 18 seconds. But Penn State comes from 14 down. They win that game. Alabama, Florida was wild. Marquette DePaul was wild for many reasons. But I had the quad box going last night. And this is what makes another night, because we said this, I said the same thing yesterday. The thing that is making college basketball so great is there is an abundance of talent. Now, might not be the most recognizable talent. I don't know if Isaiah Stevens of Colorado State, who's one of the better guards in the country, walked into Denny's on 84th and people go, "Hey, I saw you when you beat Creighton back in November." No, there's a lot of talent. But what is making college basketball so fun right now for me is just chaotic. Is there is just wild finishes going on, and it is setting up. Like, we got the tease Tuesday night downtown. We're starting to get like, here we go. We're ramping it up. This is what March Madness is going to be about. And Nebraska and Creighton are going to be a part of it.
I think it's fine to say that. I
just said it.
And I think you should feel confident in that, because
are you going to join me?
I am joining you.
Okay.
Yes, right. I am joining you. This was the one thing that we knew was missing on the resume. And I said it last week that even more than just putting a road victory on the resume is if they do have a slip up on Sunday, or if they do have a slip up at home, your home record is outstanding. So you can't punch a lot of holes into that unless, say, you had, gosh, I got to even look at the remaining schedule now. Okay, so you got Minnesota.
So
and
now watch
Rutgers.
watch Minnesota, because Minnesota plays Ohio State tonight.
Yep. Nebraska's
Minnesota, all of a sudden, if they win against Ohio State, they come to Lincoln on Sunday, and they're looking at as a quad one. Minnesota, kind of like Iowa, but I was starting to stack some positive stuff. Minnesota thinks they can make a late run to get in the NCAA tournament. Now, remember, they're playing the conference tournament in their hometown.
That's true.
There could be some momentum.
Yep.
So if they win tonight against Ohio State at the Barn, they come on Sunday. That's a big game for Minnesota. Could turn out to be a big game for Nebraska. Now, no, Nebraska's resume is not done. They have 2-2, 2 at home, 2 on the road. Then they go to Ohio State, and then they get Rutgers, and then they finish at Michigan.
Yeah,
but the Rutgers-Michigan game is a week apart.
That win last night gives you a little cushion too. That even if you weren't to run the table from here on out for the rest of the regular season, that it's not going to negatively affect you. Now, if you were to lose last night and then you lose next week to Ohio State, and again, everything plays out to the way it has been all season, where you're winning at home and losing on the road, you're sweating a little bit. You have work to do in Minnesota, especially if you were to lose a game on the road in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I mean, that's a horrible loss. And that's another great thing about what we saw several times throughout the broadcast last night, too, in the resume. But it's the true thing about Nebraska's resume. Yeah, at the time that they're flashing that resume, they did not have a road victory, but they also didn't have a bad loss. And so you've avoided that part of it as well. But getting that win, now you're at those final 4 games of the regular season where you've given yourself maybe a little bit of that cushion, which I think is big. I think that it kind of allows you to play loose. Now, this group kind of showed last night. They can play with a sense of urgency. There can be some pressure there, and that they're okay with that. But it has a lot of different factors on why that was a big moment last night for Nebraska.
Vince is up early. It is 4:30 in the Napa Valley area where he lives. The 22 wins are very much in play now.
I thought that last night too.
Absolutely.
Well, so here
I'll go all in 23 wins
before they get. They're at what, 19 right now. They're 19-8. Here's another little nugget that I think is important as part of the Fred Hoiberg for Coach of the Year in the Big Ten resume. Is for the first time since 97, 98, 98, 99, back-to-back years they've won at least 9 games in the conference. Now, back then it was the Big 12. Now we're in the Big 10. That says a lot. To get to that number. And you also now are on February 22nd. We're talking Nebraska basketball here, that since they fired Danny Nee, has been to the NCAA tournament one time. Danny Nee hasn't been here for a while. They're still in play to be a double bye. Now, they're going to need a little bit of help because Purdue and Illinois are kind of locked in. I think Wisconsin will be okay. So you have Northwestern, Michigan State, Nebraska essentially are fighting for that last spot. But a double bye is in play. We were joking at the beginning of the season. Hey, just avoid Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now Nebraska could be playing on Friday. Now, if you're playing on Friday, you're in the dance.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you pull an Ohio State in 13-14 and lose your first game at the Big Ten tournament, if you're in a double bye, you have already clinched your spot in the tournament. But the fact that that is still in play and you still have 4 games to go just adds to why I think that Fred Hoiberg has a good shot to be Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of reason to believe, again, when you just look at the teams in front of Nebraska right now, and you mentioned all of them: Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Northwestern. And we already talked about Northwestern, where I know a lot of people like to talk about Chris Collins, but what they returned, Wisconsin,
They went to the tournament last year.
Absolutely they did.
They got Boo Buie in his 9th year.
Yeah.
They should have been good.
Wisconsin had key dudes back. Illinois, key dudes back. Purdue, the dude on top of a lot of good dudes back. Nebraska, again, it wasn't as if they returned this core group.
I think it's just, I think it's just Ben Johnson and Fred Hoiberg are the discussion here.
I agree.
For Coach of the Year in the league.
Yeah, I totally agree, because of what those coaches were also kind of facing this year if it didn't go the right way, and to kind of have some unknowns on their roster as well, and to get it playing the way that it is. And now for all the detractors, you can look at, okay, well, last night they finally did get that key moment there for, if we're talking about the Nebraska basketball resume, but for us, I know Fred doesn't care about this, but for the Big Ten Coach of the Year discussion, that goes a long way as well, what happened last night.
Yeah, if you would have said, again, this is all kind of a lead up over the last 2 years for Hoiberg. And my sentiments about Nebraska basketball are the sentiments of a team that is a 9-10 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
And all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, they won on the road.
7.
Yeah, boy, I wish Creighton and Nebraska would play again. Nebraska looks like a 9 and 10 seed team. But if you would have said 2 years ago that Hoiberg would, in his 5th year, with a little bit of heat under the seat, would find a way to be in the running for Coach of the Year and a double bye, and you're about to hit March, how many people would have said you are crazy?
Yeah.
I would take more that Hoiberg would have said, peace, I'm out, had hit the wall and was like, I can't do anything. I tried for 4 years.
Yeah.
You can't just win at Nebraska. So all of this is impressive for what they have built up, because 19-8 is something. I mean, we're talking Nebraska basketball. They're 19-8. 19-8. And once again, they've won at least 9 games in the conference. And they got the thing that was missing on the resume last night was a road win. Now, so my trust tree, be nice to add at least another road win, either in Columbus or in Ann Arbor.
And never mind, I'm not going to bring it up. But yes, let's just say that the 4-game stretch and what you have on the road, those are games that you would think Nebraska will be in, whether they're ahead, within striking distance, down to the last minute, or whatever you want to call it.
So if they play defense like they have the last 3 games, they're gonna find themselves in games when they get to that last media timeout.
Yep.
I mean, their defensive improvement is subtly very impressive. Last 3 they've held Michigan, Penn State, and Indiana as a total on average below 60 points. I think a combined 36% from the floor. And there's I saw a little Seamus nugget. I think when Nebraska holds their opponents below 70 or 70 or less,
below,
they're 14-0. Is that right?
Yeah, that looks like it checks out. Yeah, on the notes from last night. Yeah, and so that again, there's another part of. It's not just getting that win last night, but look at the trend. Even what they've been doing at home, things that can play out in the postseason. Parts of this team that there was a time we were talking about it in the Wisconsin game. We were talking about C.J. Wilcher being the hero and playing himself into the Big Ten 6th Man of the Year discussion. Then last night you get the performance from Jamarcus Lawrence, which is great because you're getting some different production from guys in really similar roles over the last year. But even with those things, like that's kind of been there all year for Nebraska defensively, and especially on the road defensively, like we talked about yesterday with that backcourt for Indiana being as average as they are. to all of a sudden go into a game where they're getting open looks and all of a sudden they're just raining down threes. And then they also have the advantage inside in the paint, which they, give them credit. They did utilize that, and that was a big part of them coming back, but also had a lot to do with Nebraska's shot selection in the second half. Defensively, what they were able to do, especially on the perimeter, it's impressive. And don't even, I know that they had some success in the paint too, but Juwan Gary with Renew and how he was able to defend him in the first half too, that was big. All that mattered.
They won a game last night where the guards were the story and Mast was not a story. And Nebraska has a C.J. Wilcher problem. C.J. Wilcher is in a major funk.
Mm-hmm.
And the body language is back to bad body language.
Yep.
CJ at Nebraska.
Yep.
Just they would show some ISOs of the huddle, and we're since Wisconsin 1 of 6, 2 of 7, 1 of 4, 1 of 6, 1 of 6, 2, 5, 3, 4, and 2. That's the last 5 games for CJ Wilcher. But they found a way to win last night. All right, welcome in everybody. Off and running on a Thursday. Coming up in about 90 minutes, because it is that time of the year where everybody does a bracket. I've always said this, life is better when you bracket things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I see all these loose cats in my neighborhood when I drive into work in the morning, I'm like, you know what? What do we put them in a bracket?
How do you get the number 1 seed?
Well, it's probably what cat I don't hit. I see this. I swear to God,
cat.
I swear to God, I see the same cat every day when I turn onto Shirley.
Black cat?
It is, and it's sitting on the corner, and I'm very superstitious. So if the thing runs in front of me,
go the other way.
I'm hitting reverse, and I'm going, up 63rd Street. So
what do you mean you're doing it on StreamYard? What's wrong?
There are, but there's
oven smoke that bad?
I don't know if it's the weather, but there's a lot of loose cats in my neighborhood. But life is.
Oh yeah, we're Cat Town.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, did people all of a sudden decide, you know what? I don't want my cat, and they just let it run? Because Exarban Village is being overrun by cats. Now they look like feral cats. They look like they're well manicured cats.
Yeah.
And I don't see them like climbing into the gutter.
Yeah.
I see them like sprinting through people's yards. But why do we have?
So they're well trained out.
Why do we have a lot of loose cats in Exarban Village?
Good question. I wish I
Jones Brothers.
They're very respectful because they're trying not to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that because I think they would lose.
They're nimble. That's good. Do you? I don't know how close you get to them. Do you detect any type of collar, any type of identification? It's tough to tell.
No.
Okay.
I think I might even, if I saw a collar, I might try and
bring it in.
Yeah.
So
I was like, when I'm out for my walk, I always look like, you'll see like the street poles or whatever. They'll have like a missing dog or a cat. So I'll stop and look, and maybe I see one wandering around. But we have a lot of cats that are loose in my neighborhood.
According
so if you don't have, if you lost your cat, I can tell you at
probably
5:55 every morning where it's at.
Village area.
Yeah.
Jimmy just said. Did you say we're a cat town?
We're Cat Town.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lincoln's crime town. We're Cat Town.
Yeah, there'll be cats tonight at Baxter Arena taking a basketball
I believe that your
game.
statement is not perfect.
We're Cat Town.
I believe we love our dogs. Our ladies love their cats.
Yeah.
Our Omahans love their dogs.
Did you guys know Laszlo's has a mascot cat? This was weird. We were at Laszlo's not that long ago.
Serving cat.
I don't know. We walked in and there was a little cat in their outdoor patio area. And so Reese runs over and we're like, hold on a second. I don't know if we want to, could be a feral cat. And it had like a little collar. It was a really a cute cat. I'm not a big cat guy, but it was cute.
Went up to him and said, Handley, party of 4.
My wife checked his collar and it said property of Laszlo's. And it said something like, don't worry or something like that. So if you see it, so basically this cat is an outdoor cat and it's the Laszlo's cat.
He's actually
happens, you're sitting on the patio and it jumps on your table and starts, eating the fish. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's part of the experience.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the Laszlo's cat.
But I think life would be better as brackets. So like the black cat that I saw today, and then I saw like a gray cat.
Ooh, watch out for
I
the
thought
gray
if I
cat.
bracketed them, the black cat looks a lot better. But speaking of brackets,
But where's the regional? Maybe you have the gray bracket and the black bracket.
I got the gray cat as a 3 seed going deep.
like they would face off in the parking lot next to tracks. But speaking of tracks, Sarah Baker Hansen is going to join us at 8 because life is better with brackets, and
see what you
her
did there.
bracket is out this year. What will she be bracketing? Last year it was beer. We've done pizza. I like
the craft beer one last year was great.
I like the idea of the bracket this year. I
do too.
I wonder how she has gotten so many of them because not all particular food item that she is going to speak of are created equal.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to participate in this bracket.
So she will join us coming up at 8.
You should.
Steve Sipple stops by at 8:30. He's a Go Big Fretter. And then Brian Edwards at 9:45. We have lots to discuss. More on Nebraska and Indiana last night. Also, Danny Hurley and his Game of Thrones tweet yesterday. And we are never satisfied with college football. We talked yesterday about going to 12.
Yeah.
And I said, you guys are not very smart because we would like to go to 14. Man, what's your favorite memories of the 12-team playoff?
Just when it became final the other day. That was really cool. That was neat. It was short-lived.
You know what? I don't know if you've ever been told this in your life. Sometimes more is not better.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant.
But the college football playoff is now all over the map. Plus, Kansas City Royals did something yesterday. I think it was a good idea. And then you saw a visual and you went, not so much. As we will discuss their new patch on their uniform. That's all to come. Good lineup ahead of us. Brought to you by the Rooferys at John. Will there be a quick trip in the new Royal Stadium? That's what I want to know.
There was in the Sprint Center. I don't know if there still is.
Really?
There was?
Oh, yeah.
A full-scale quick trip?
There was?
Minus the gas.
Dang.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember seeing a quick trip.
There were no 59-cent 44-ounce drinks or whatever they used to be in 2005.
Well, it's arena prices. It'd be probably like $9.99.
Quick Trip. If we were doing a bracket of the best things at Quick Trip, you can't go wrong with the ice. The cubed ice.
Oh, the shaved ice or whatever. Yeah.
All right, 43 past the hour. That is the lineup after Nebraska beats Indiana. So put your dancing shoes on. If you're wearing blue dancing shoes, they are firmly tied.
Oh, yeah.
And they might have some sparkles on them. If you're wearing the red dancing shoes, they're on your feet and maybe a lace is tied. After Nebraska adds to the resume last night. 43 past the hour. There's Nick, Jimmy, I'm Gary. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said Maraca, senor, but his nose said, hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing. You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
The Nebraska Pool and Spa Expo on February 23rd through the 25th with 30 plus hot tubs and swim spas on display from multiple manufacturers. Up to 50% off retail pricing. Hot tubs from $44.99. Same day delivery. 0% financing. Act now. Only 3 days. Come get factory direct savings on a new hot tub or swim spa. This February 23rd through the 25th at the Keystone Event Center. 3 days only. The Nebraska Pool and Spa Expo.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even you can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
If you're unhappy with your job or employer and you've hit a dead end, it's time to start your new career as a delivery driver with Host Coffee. Our local family-owned business is growing, and we now have openings for delivery drivers and other positions starting at $22 an hour with full benefits. If you're interested, visit hostcoffee.net/careers to connect with us.
Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools,
It may not be stomach. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is
manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
If you're looking for a safe and reliable vehicle to get you through all types of winter weather and more, Baxter Subaru has you covered. Symmetrical all-wheel drive comes standard on nearly all Subaru models and provides you better traction, improved stability, and maximized performance on wet and snowy roads. So hop in the driver's seat of a new Outback, Forester, or Crosstrek now at Baxter Subaru Omaha. Shop our great sales and service deals now during the Subaru A Lot to Love event at BaxterSubaruOmaha.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
If you happen to have AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, there is a nationwide outage. Spotty and that's what. Right now, it's out. It's a national news.
It's like our phone system.
I think I'm okay. I'm a T-Mobile guy, and I've been texting with a few people this morning, and they've gone through. Of course, I don't talk to anybody on the phone because that's not what. So I'm not going to call anybody, and most people don't call me anyhow. They just text me. So I think maybe us T-Mobilers are okay. You're Verizon,
I'm
right?
Verizon, yes.
Okay. Jimmy?
Oh, I'm Verizon, and I have nothing. This is great. No one can bother me because I'm one of those people. If somebody calls, I'm like, "Who died? What happened?"
I need to introduce you to Severe. All right, let's get to a couple emails, and then there's a lot of people still enjoying what happened Tuesday night.
Should be.
Well, there is something that happened that went viral yesterday from the Chai. But first on Nebraska. So the Lego Maniac, which let me find the email. Do you have his email about mastering? Okay, here it is.
I do.
So, okay, now I just saw what that said. There's another one. I can't say. Can I say the B word on the air?
Yeah,
I think you can. Yeah.
So
it's a female dog.
So this is. Well, the game started last night about 7:37.
Yeah.
This is like middle of the second half. This is probably when Indiana's on their 23-5 run.
It was.
We get an email from the Lego Maniac. Mast is a bitch. Okay.
Wow.
He said that. I didn't. So
yeah.
Now the game ends.
He seems like a nice guy.
And yeah, the Lego Maniac rides the Nebraska Bowl roller coaster like the team does.
Oh, does he?
So here we go. So here are some follow-up emails.
I get it though.
Now that Nebraska has finally won a Big Ten road game, can we finally start to have a legitimate NCAA tournament discussion? Now Nebraska needs not to let up and have a letdown this weekend at home. Nebraska needs to lock in and win out to help their seed in the tournament, especially now that Ohio State will be a quad one opportunity. Okay,
fair.
Then.
So we're gonna ride the emotions of Nebraska Bowl.
They're gonna win out,
but
23-8.
But then there's the follow-up email about the conversation you and I were having about more impressed with the start that Nebraska got off to or the resolve.
Yeah, you can. So I like their start. Nick was right. The resolve, that 14-1 when it got to 3 was like, whoa, who are these guys?
Yeah.
100% more impressed with the ability to respond to Indiana's run. We've seen Nebraska jump out to a hot start in the first half on the road, but then they've fallen apart when the home team goes on a run, especially when the home team decides to commit to pounding the ball into the post because stretch four Mass can't handle Big Ten centers when they take it to him. So they either dominate him in the paint or Nebraska double teams the post, so they spray it back out to open shooters on the three-point line. This time, Nebraska was able to withstand that run on the road for the first time in the season, in spite of Mass getting worked on a night when he wasn't making threes. Safe to say that Zach is not in on the Dutchman?
It's very, very true because I'm
too hot.
Let's see. This goes back to the 10th of February. Again, with Lego Maniac's angst towards Rink Mast. Mast is a stretch four that Nebraska's tried to play at center. He is such a, can't say that word, in the paint. I've never seen a center be so incapable of rebounding the damn ball and so incapable of being able to guard someone one-on-one. Even though Alec is only 6'8", he is exponentially tougher and more aggressive in the paint than Mast.
And that's
playing defense, getting rebounds, getting loose balls, finishing strong at the rim. In the offseason, Nebraska needs to hit the transfer portal for a real Big Ten center or get Keita healthy and into the starting lineup so they can slide Mast over to the 4. That was on the 10th. Almost a very similar observation, pretty much on a night-in, night-out basis.
So can I play?
Lego Maniac.
Can I go to bat for the guy that sweats more than Sean Miller?
He does sweat a lot.
He does.
I mean,
My
hey,
guy's sweating a lot.
I
should have been umpire.
I feel bad for the Buzz Williams, the Sean Millers, the Rink Mast of the world that sweat a lot.
Yeah, I had a buddy who had that problem too.
I mean, the Old Spice can only do so much.
Yeah.
But Rink is one of those guys that during the course of a game, he's going to get bloodied. He's going to have to be 10-2 by the trainer, and he's going to sweat.
And sometimes gets mauled by a Wolverine, as he did in the which game? I can't remember which game that was.
By the way, the scratches they're not healing.
No, they're
pretty visible. Like when they do close-ups of him. Yeah.
Is he picking the scab or something? Because I mean, those look like literally a Wolverine.
So can I come to the defense? Of
we've
the
all
Dutchman?
been there.
I'd like to come to the defense of the Dutchman. All right,
Rick Smits.
I think it's a country that one day I would like to visit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Is he only had 2 points last night, and he was not a factor. But on this team, what maybe makes this team unique, either for the good or the bad, Nebraska doesn't have a big 3+1 like Creighton, is someone is stepping up every night. So Jamarcus Lawrence has been on the struggle bus, and he takes you through the roller coaster in his entire career at Nebraska.
Yeah.
Should be starting. Nope. He should be coming off the bench. Should be playing point guard. No, he should be playing off.
Which hasn't been that long
Where
of a
has
career.
The guy been? But the last couple of games, he has found a role, and he was a dude last night.
Oh, yeah.
When Nebraska needed to be settled down or make a play, especially on the offensive end. Now, he also was good on the defensive end. Jamarcus Lawrence was involved. Then you had Tominaga, who was on a heater in the first half, not so much in the second half. But then you also had Bryce Williams. So this is a team that is finding a way for somebody different to step up every night. You would love to have consistency across the board from the starting 5. And if that ever happens, what is the ceiling for Nebraska?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this. In this case, when Mast is off, they found a way to get other people to step up. So I'm not going to put it on the shoulders of Mast. I am still a big fan of Dutchman. I will go to the Tulip Festival in Pella, Iowa, and celebrate with the Dutch over there.
Well, and to
the Corvers,
to Zach's
Corvers from Pella.
Pella, Iowa, yeah.
You wear wooden shoes, and you go to the Dutch Festival, and they have windmills.
Wouldn't that just be
you
so
guys
uncomfortable?
You guys are looking at me like crazy.
No, they could be good.
I'm
I think
sure
it's
that's
in
a
April.
thing.
Talk to Kyle Corver.
Okay.
Talk to his brother. Yeah, they're the pride of Pella.
I want to. Okay, so based on what Zach is saying, I want to say this about Mast too, because I also feel like the need to defend him. He wasn't brought in to be a true Big Ten post. Like they wanted him to be able to kind of be that stretch post player that, at times can give you some rebounds inside. I don't think there was any mistaking that he was going to probably play as much outside the paint as he would inside the paint. And against, real old school Big Ten centers that reside block to block in the paint, that was always going to be a bit of a challenge. I don't think that was a new development. I don't think watching him and continuing to see maybe some inconsistency in the paint and boxing out and having some struggles against real Big Ten bigs, I don't think that is a major shock to anybody on the coaching staff.
This is Nebraska ball. They don't recruit true bigs.
Right.
Okay. The 5 is a pick and pop top of the key guy.
You want David Rivers?
Yeah. Okay, so part of yesterday's discussion, if you saw Danny Hurley, he tweeted out, they play this weekend, a Game of Thrones meme.
Yep.
And I kind of laughed and I thought, man, how great is the Big East that you have two absolutely crazy head coaches, like certifiable in Patino and Hurley. The Big East is a special place, but I laughed and I thought, okay, because it's from Game of Thrones and they're throwing stuff at him.
Yeah.
So he's basically like, I hear you. We got our butt kicked in Omaha. I hear you. We'll see you on Saturday. I laughed about it. There are people that are not laughing about an action that the crazy coach had as he was exiting the floor on Tuesday night. So if you're familiar with the Chai, where the visiting team is, the student section is right there. And as you walk through towards the tunnel, you walk right by the student section. And, it was juiced. People are running on the floor. Danny Hurley, surrounded by his coaching staff and the fine men of the Omaha Police Department, walks by the student section. I think you'll be able to hear the audio. But if you can't, Hurley says to a student, if you reach over, I'll knock you out. Play the audio, Jimmy. So it's a reach over, I'll knock you out. Would you scrap the Danny Hurley?
I don't want to.
You are a lubed up crazy student, and he said, if you reach over, I'll knock you out. You're like, I'll take my chance.
No, the guy's crazy.
He didn't yell. He was very methodical and not intense about it. Those are the people because it's very matter of fact. You come over here.
He's not Manhattan, New York, New Jersey. We've seen the Sopranos. I'm not messing with him. And you guys watch him on the sideline too, and he gets like that pitch where he will look from one direction and all of a sudden immediately the other direction. There's something going on.
Sorry, but I like him.
He's crazy. I wouldn't mess with him.
There are like 3 different videos of the same. I don't know. I want to call it interaction because I don't think it crossed the line. He didn't make a move towards a student or anything. No. He did a Danny Hurley thing, and he just kept it moving.
Right.
I think Creighton fans were nice. They didn't throw anything at him because he's right there. He's getting towards the tunnel, and people could have just littered.
Yeah.
But they didn't. He stopped. He said that to a student. Now, my other question is, and I love the Big East, man. The coaches are becoming like personalities.
Oh, big time.
How it used to be.
I got Shaka Smart's coming in here soon.
Yep.
He's a personality.
Yep.
Hurley's a personality. Patino in his act of apologizing to save his recruiting class, but doesn't care about this current team. He's a personality. If you were a student at Creighton and you're getting a fine degree, you're getting ready to do all those interviews to try and get your first job out of college. If you had an interaction with Danny Hurley that he actually responded to you and you had it on video, would you share that in an interview process as a badge of honor of your time at Creighton that I engaged with a coach and he came back at me?
Yes.
Are they interviewing at the zone?
100%. Yes, I would.
Then it's a guaranteed hire.
I would 100% show that.
Back in my day, if at the Devaney Center, if I would have got Norm Stewart or somebody like that to respond to say, I'll knock you out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I own the world. I own the world.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, can we take a picture? I mean nothing by it. I mean, don't hit me. I just take a picture for this.
Yeah. You're a made man, dude.
Even if I would see it as like I am the top student in the student section if you had a coach that specifically yelled at you, like pointed you out and gave you the business.
Yeah. It's one thing if you're like,
that's me.
Addressing the area.
I'd make a t-shirt.
Swoon.
Yep.
Billy Tubbs wants to fight Gary Sharp.
Yeah, you could you could make it a t-shirt. You could have the photo, still image of that on
Johnny
a t-shirt
Orr.
of him pointing right at you. Like, if it's one thing if you're addressing the area or the students, but when he's locking in on you, yeah.
See, I don't think it crossed the line. I think it was funny.
I do too.
I know it's probably not a popular thing to say anything pleasant about Danny Hurley, but I thought his tweet yesterday was funny.
I did too.
I think he's a character. I think he's a really good basketball coach. And he didn't cross the line.
I don't think so either.
He said, if you reach over, I'll knock you out.
Just a fact.
I would have called him on it. I would have, as a student, I would have reached over.
Like, okay.
See if Hurley would have gone in the
All
stand.
right, tough guy.
Next
Unfortunately,
thing you know, it's Mike Milbury at the Garden.
Yeah. It's unfortunately.
I got my striped pants on. I'm ready to scrap.
I think he would have.
And then there's a student that's got his shoe off and starts beating the UConn coach. Probably would have been a bad look.
I'm still gonna.
Probably would have sullied the court.
There's probably some,
I got Hurley
there's
17
probably
and a
some
half.
strong students that represent the Creighton student section, whether it's the Blue Crew or not. Well, the Blue Crew wouldn't do that. They wouldn't engage in stuff like that.
If they
But
do, I got
if
Hurley
there's a
by
random,
that would have been the story.
yeah, the Blue
Danny
Crew
Hurley goes toe to toe with a member of the Blue Crew.
Oh, this kid with striped pants and a painted shirt. He wanted some of this, so he got it.
And the face paint was in full force.
Hey, thought he was William Wallace.
He knew what he's doing. Everybody's got their phone out. Everybody these days is filming anything. He knows that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't think he crossed the line. I'm glad that Danny Hurley is in the Big East. I'm glad UConn is in the Big East. I'm glad that coaches have personalities and they're not all cut and dried. That they like, they talk about the league. They're not afraid to promote the league. They're really, really good coaches, and the league is in a good spot.
Yeah.
And we're good with interaction like that. Because he wasn't going to scrap.
No, and that's again, I go back to where he's from.
Danny Hurley would guys ask him. I'm telling you.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man.
I think Dan.
Now this is the debate here.
Yeah, I think Danny Hurley's got a little. I think he's got a little wiry craziness to him that he would. It would take multiple people to take him down. Multiple students, that is.
I mean, I don't think he's Joe Pesci in either Casino or Goodfellas, but yeah.
I think he's cagey strong, man.
Yeah.
I would put it on my resume though.
Oh yeah.
I got a coach in the Big East to say, if you reach over, I'll knock you out. Look what I can do as a salesperson.
Yeah,
I'm very influential.
I engage with folks.
Yes.
Sometimes that's not all positive, but I have
you ever sold radio?
I have ability to engage. I stand out. I stand out in the crowd.
But first, Coach, as I engage,
you won't forget
as
me.
I engage you, make sure I gotta center my camera here so I got a good view of you. All right. Jimmy's coming up with an update. Sarah Baker Hansen and her bracket reveal coming up in an hour. Steve Sipple stops by. Also, Brian Edwards on this Thursday. So far, a winning week. Omaha men's basketball. Don't let me down tonight.
Let's
Omaha
go.
Oral Roberts, final home game over at Baxter Arena. Can Red, Blue, and Black Nebraska go 3 for 3 this week? That's tonight at 7. Update with Jimmy next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. Disabled vehicle on the right shoulder of I-29 southbound at US 275. Shouldn't be impacting traffic or slowing anything down, just something to be cautious about if you will be approaching that area soon. And if you're traveling on Cass, the intersection of 86th and Cass appearing to be a little slow at this time. Expect a short delay there. Other than that, things looking good throughout the city. Just remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Kredzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Lauritsen Gardens. Experience Brick Live Brickosaurs, now open at Lauritsen Gardens. Come face-to-face with a herd of incredible brick-built dinosaurs, discover prehistoric plants, and unearth a ton of fun. To plan your family's Dino-Mite adventure, visit lauritsengardens.org.
Thursday, February 22nd is your last chance to see Omaha Maverick men's basketball as they gear up for the conference tournament. Join the Maverick men for senior night as they take on Oral Roberts. This is always a classic matchup. Plus, with just 4 home games left, your Omaha Maverick hockey team takes on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup on Friday and Saturday night. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks.
The Omaha men's basketball team closes out their home season tonight against Oral Roberts in a battle for a top seed in the Summit League tournament with 2 weeks to go. 6:30 is the pregame show on Newstalk 1290 Coil. 7 o'clock tip-off for the Mavs and the Golden Eagles of Oral Roberts.
College basketball's biggest tournament is coming, and it's time to start betting like a pro with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa. It's sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, tight moneyline splits, exceptional customer service, and more. Fund and bet like a pro anywhere, anytime. It's never been easier. Download your new bookie before all of the March action at circasports.com. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha frequently conducts clinical trials for a broad range of investigational treatments. Typical studies involve medications for high cholesterol, diabetes, infectious diseases, and others. They also perform vaccine studies for people of all ages, conducting innovative research that has a positive impact on lives. Click for current trials at velocityclinicaltrials.com. More trials are launching in March. Compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
Woodhouse Buick is bringing you more for the new year. With every new Buick purchase from Woodhouse, we're including 3 years of scheduled maintenance. Plus, with our current lease offers going on now, you'll save even more. Save up to $5,000 off MSRP plus 0.9% APR for 36 months on the 2023 Buick Envision Essence all-wheel drive. With approved credit, must finance with GM Financial. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires March 4th, 2024. See dealer for details.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Senior night for Omaha men's basketball tonight at Baxter Arena against Oral Roberts at 7 o'clock. Nick Davis will be the lone Maverick honored. It's not a bad thing. Mavs need this one with 3 games left in the regular season. They're right in the mix for the number 2 seed in the conference. At only 2 games back with a 13-15 record, 6-7 mark in the Summit. It's still there to wear white at the Summit League tournament, which would be good. Game tips off at 7 o'clock, and if the men are here, that means the Fighting John Shriners are in Tulsa to take on the Golden Eagles. That game also tips off at 7 o'clock. Some local news that you guys will definitely have some opinions on here. Omaha Hockey Hall of Fame coach, longtime administrator. I almost said exterminator. I
thought that's where you're going.
No, yeah. Anyway, Mike Kemp announces retire from the department effective in May. He arrived as Omaha Hockey's head coach on July 1st, 1996, then elevated to the position of associate athletic director in May of 2009. After serving as head hockey coach for 12 years, in March of 19, was further elevated to the position of senior associate athletic director of events and facilities, and then in 21 was named executive associate athletic director. His imprint is all over Omaha athletics. When you look at the facilities and the management, the things that they did with the conversion of Caniglia Field and the construction of Baxter Arena. Speaking of Maverick hockey, they're home this weekend to face Colorado College tomorrow night and yesterday. But yes, I saw that story. I thought of you too, and you guys know a lot more of that stuff more than I do. So.
Number 10 ranked Colorado College.
Hey, Kemper is a gem.
Yep.
I mean, that's 48 years in college athletics, and him and Don Leahy getting together for the birth of Omaha hockey. He has been, man, he's a friend.
Yeah.
And you know him, and I know him, and we've seen him in his different roles.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was the head coach, boy, that was a fun beat to cover because he just all kinds of access. He was super honest. I mean, he always is. But, man, he has done so much for Omaha hockey on and off the ice and the sport of hockey. Loves Omaha athletics.
Yeah.
And if you saw a clip of his presser yesterday, mean, he got pretty emotional talking about how much this city and that athletic department means to him. And, he still got a couple of more months.
Yeah.
They're going to host a regional. So
Yep.
he kind of,
he's part of that.
That was like his last thing is
Yeah.
for Omaha to be able to host a regional up in Sioux Falls. So it's pretty cool for Kemper. I knew this was the plan. That's kind of one of the reasons why permanent athletic director was not on the table when he was the guy between Trev and Adrian. But man, he's a gem. Great person, great family. And he gets to be grandpa. He's got 8 grandchildren.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd go even further. I mean, everything you said is spot on about what he is as a person, as an administrator, as a coach. I mean, they were for an upstart program, not only to have the following, which is a testament to, yes, the fans and something new, but you had to be at least consistent, give them a reason to keep coming back to the Civic Auditorium. I mean, they had the consecutive sellout streak going there with over 8,000 every night. They were constantly, I mean, I don't think they had a season where they were maybe below 6th or 7th in the CCHA. At least they're for the good chunk of that time that they were on their run there. They get to the NCAA tournament. Everybody remembers when they were at the Joe. Those are a lot of the coaching highlights, and they produced some stud NHL players too. I mean, they again had a lot going for them with the hockey program and what he was able to do. I've probably enjoyed more of my time with Coach as the administrator as well, because, and you mentioned how he was sort of emotional during the press conference yesterday. He's a guy that wears his emotions on his sleeve, but he bleeds for that athletic department and for this city, for a guy who's not from here. And there's a story to be told, maybe at a later date, but one time that we all went up to, me and a couple of friends that worked in the athletic department went up to Minnesota Duluth to watch Omaha play up there, and Kemper was up there. This is when they were kind of scouting a lot of the different venues to see what Baxter could be. And I'll never forget that weekend. Like, Kemp was kind of like our wingman. I mean, it was hilarious. He knew, well, and he's very familiar with Duluth, obviously, too. And so he knew all the places to go, and he was just a blast. He was such a good ambassador, but he was just so much fun during that time. That's probably when I got to know him the most, because for anybody who's probably met him once, he's a personable guy, but also a guy that when it comes down to being about business, he was about business too. He was that perfect blend. But I think anybody who had even more than a year's interaction with him or relationship with him, like you said, Gary, you think of him as coach and you think of him as a friend. I mean, that's perfectly who he is. And I know he takes pride in that too, with those relationships.
Low-key funny guy.
Absolutely. Oh gosh. Yeah. And always with a cup of coffee, always with a black cup of coffee. There's no cream in that.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
In other intercollegiate basketball, reigning Big East Player of the Year Tyler Kolek breaks Marquette's 29-year-old single-game assist record. Who he thinks he is? Scott Skiles. He had 18 assists. Oh, that's 12 shy of Scott. Cam Jones scores a career-high 34 points, and number 7 Marquette bounces back from their nail-biting defeat to UConn over the weekend. They beat DePaul 105-71.
Can I jump in here?
You can.
If you look at his line last night, look at how many shots he took. So 18 assists is, hello.
Pretty good.
He only took 2 shots last night.
Yeah.
DePaul's terrible.
Yeah.
But
10 assists in the first 12 minutes.
But only 2 field goal attempts for Kolek last night.
Yeah.
Boy, the first team
going about it a different way.
Hey, the first team All Big East is going to be tight. I mean, I think there's Newton, Shireman, Devin Carter, and Kolek.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that 5th guy? I still think Newton is probably a shade ahead of Shireman for Player of the Year in the conference.
Yeah.
But those are my 4. Grab me a 5th guy on the All Big East team. And I don't recall off the top of my head, do they do it where it's by position, or they just do the best 5?
I think they do the best 5. I think. So you want to grab somebody off of UConn, you said Newton, Kolek, Shireman. Who was your 4th?
Devin Carter.
Devin Carter. Klingen doesn't miss that amount of time. Maybe there's an argument there. Cam Spencer, maybe there's an argument there. You throw Kalk or Trey in there. Trey maybe.
Point is, if you make second team, that's nothing to be ashamed of.
No,
they're really
not
good.
at all. But yeah, that's crazy though. Just 2 attempts.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Tony Miller set the previous school record many forget with 17 assists against Memphis way back on March 4th, 1995. remember where I was that day. I was in school. Kolek approached that mark a couple of times last season, knew he had a chance Wednesday after tallying 10 assists in the first 12 minutes and 13 by halftime. All right, I'll go all me for you guys. I remember where I was the day before that, too. March 3rd, 1995, I was at the Alamo Dome watching the Spurs beat the Rockets 124-103 on NBC. Why I remember that? It's my 12th birthday. So,
okay.
But noon games, which meant they didn't sell beer till 12 o'clock, and you would see people just scattering like cockroaches when the light goes out at noon to head to the concession stand. So anyway, the more you know, the Rockets got the last laugh in the playoffs that year. That's a different conversation. The idea of a 14-team college football playoff starting in 2026 was discussed at the CFP meetings in Dallas yesterday, just months before the start of the season, the first season with the 12-team playoff. See how long that lasts. Executive Director Bill Hancock acknowledged the idea that was discussed, but declined to provide specific details, saying there's work still to be done. Just got to figure out how to make more money. With CFP officials pushing to finalize the deal for a TV contract for the next 8 years, 3 lingering issues remain unresolved: access, distribution of money, and governance. That should go well. Hancock said the issues need to be resolved within the next month. The management committee, which is made up of commissioners and incoming Notre Dame athletic director Pete, don't call me Kurt Bavacqua, met Wednesday and discussed potentially expanding the field. Never too early for 80s baseball player references. After the current contract runs out during the 2025 season. The most dominant discussion of a new model revolved around a 14-team playoff, but there's some that say they could go higher, perhaps one day 16. Anyway, finally, the Southland Conference suspended 8 players Wednesday for their involvement in a brouhaha that followed Texas A&M Commerce's 76-72 thrilling overtime victory at most hated rival Incarnate Word Monday night. The brawl, which broke out during the handshake line, lasted for more than a minute, spilled across the floor as players and coaches from both teams attempted to stop the melee. As you heard the other day, the broadcasters very worried about how that would all play out. It's unclear what sparked the fight, probably words. 4 players from each team were suspended for flagrant, unsportsmanlike actions. According to the Southland Conference, these suspensions will begin immediately.
Thanks, Jimmy. It is also today. This is one of the greatest days in the history of sports in this country. It is the 43rd anniversary of Miracle on Ice Day.
Yes.
Lake Placid, New York. February 22nd, 1980. In the semifinals, the U.S. defeats the Soviet Union 4-3 before only 8,500 people inside of what is now called the Herb Brooks Arena in Lake Placid, in a game that was tape delayed.
Much like the NBA Finals.
People forget about that, and people forget that that wasn't actually the gold medal game, too. That the United States had to play one more game to secure the gold medal. I was born for 2 months.
Also brought about the one of the greatest Sports Illustrated covers.
People forget about Sports Illustrated.
They do. People forget that they work there. It happens. But happy Miracle on Ice Day. Arguably the greatest day in American sports in this country.
Hard to argue that.
I mean, for me, as
just red, white, and blue. We all
yeah.
have our individual teams that have won titles,
right?
Like back-to-back Super Bowls. But in terms of red, white, and
Nice flex.
blue,
I can't think of a bigger one.
No,
I would not. I would not think of a bigger one when it comes to country, sports, and then the underdog factor as well.
If the soccer ball gentlemen could get to the championship in the World Cup, that could be up there. That would be exciting.
I think if they make a movie after you, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and there's something about it.
They made 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had a made-for-TV movie because Carl Malden was Herb Brooks. And then they said, nah, you know what? Walt Disney would like to put their spin on it, and we got the better movie, Miracle.
Snake Plissken.
Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken. He did a good job. He did it. He was believable as a hard ass head coach from
Remo
Minnesota.
Williams was believable.
But even the guys that they had
Remo
casted,
Hightower,
as all of the different players. They all. This is how I judge sports movies. They all passed as I could buy that person as a hockey player. I could buy that person as a baseball player. Yeah, they sound the part. They look the part. They did a great job with that. That movie I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it's still very popular for a generation. Again, I'd been born for not even 2 months, but it was always referred to in my family. I have 3 older brothers, my father, my mother. I mean, they referred to it because it was a time in our country that was also, you've got inflation going on. You've got a lot of different things,
The
that
hostage crisis was still going on.
There was a lot of social economic issues, and it was almost like that feel good moment. Like it's not only a great sports moment, but it's a great historical moment for our country because it sort of transcended sports in that time of 1980. And I'm glad that there is a movie that sort of encapsulates all of that. So generations of, I wouldn't even say sports fans, but of just, people that are interested in the history of our country, you get to see that because I thought it was very well done.
I think also, if you're a hockey fan or you're in hockey, you probably met somebody that was on the roster. Like who hasn't been in an event where Michael Ruzzi?
Yeah, I've seen Rizzo and Johnson. Why am I just blanking on his first name?
Mark Johnson.
Mark Johnson. Thank you. Would like to meet Jimmy Craig. And I know that was the other kind of sad thing. I think there's a lot of people in the hockey circles that have met before he passed away, and actually during the principal photography of that movie of Herb Brooks. There's a guy that if he did some type of speaking circuit, I would have loved to have sat down and just listened to not only just that experience obviously being a big one, but just the fact that he was a very, very successful coach at the University of Minnesota as well.
There's a reason why
and his hockey background, but a guy that did it in a very unique way to sort of make himself the enemy of the team. So it brought them together. Like there was a lot of leadership tactics that I think were very interesting that I would have loved to have had a chance to interact with him.
I interviewed him once, caught him on a bad day.
Did you?
He was at the Icebox.
Okay.
Wasn't the most pleasant person in the world. Got to know when I was with the Penguins, got to know Craig Patrick, who was the general manager of the Penguins at the time. So the two movies that were made, the Walt Disney movie, which is probably the most famous with Kurt Russell, is Herb Brooks, which that movie focused. So the one that was on like maybe a year after The Miracle on Ice happened was aired on ABC, and they used actual footage from the game and commentary. Was more centered around the entire event. And that was on ABC television. I think it was a Sunday night movie. The Walt Disney one, they went with the purpose of that movie is all about Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
But if you really want the perspective on how monstrous that moment was in this country, that's probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Did you ever see the 30 for 30?
The Miracles of Men?
Yeah.
Yes. Fantastic.
But it's told from the perspective of the Soviets.
Yes.
And it shows you how devastating that was in the country for them to lose to the U.S. on that Friday night.
And the
version of Rocky IV we never got.
Well, and also the absolute machine that they were, like robots, emotionless, and they wouldn't be around their families for like months at a time where they couldn't. I mean, it was forbidden because not only were you in the military as a hockey player, but their training schedule and as intense and as elaborate as it was so fascinating. And I remember, it wasn't Tridiak. I'm trying to remember the guy who's kind of the main focus, kind of tells the story in that 30 for 30, but talking about like how he didn't really have a relationship with his daughter, his wife, and how, I mean, that was kind of, that was pretty much commonplace, and how they sort of admired when they watched USA celebrate that victory, that they kind of looked at that entire team in awe because they saw that joy that they had.
Why can it be fun?
Yeah, that they had not experienced for so long because all they knew was winning. And even if they won a game, but it wasn't the way that they were supposed to win or in the fashion that they were trained to win, then they were criticized big time. And
a big Soviet overreaction is.
Well, so so the one thing about that Sports Illustrated cover is, you're gonna have to help me here, Jimmy. Is that the only Sports Illustrated cover that had no headline?
Tiger had one too.
Okay.
Yep. I remember Tiger had, I think it was the 2018 Masters. I don't think that had a headline.
Rollo Tomasi on Twitter, more iconic call. Do you believe in miracles, or I don't believe what I just saw?
Ooh, still got to be it. Do you believe in miracles?
I'll go with that.
Well, Michaels recreated that for the movie.
That was
They
cool.
did not use the actual clip in the movie. he came into a studio. He's told the story numerous times. They had him come into a studio, and he nailed it on the first take.
That's awesome.
Like, that would be tough to do because
Yeah.
that is the most iconic call in the history of the Hall of Fame career of Al Michaels.
What was also really cool about that is, you get his commentary in the pregame is word for word. And obviously you've got him and I think it was Ken Dryden are standing next to each other, and they're doing the pregame, the open, and obviously Dryden's is, from when that happened, but Al Michaels, it's his now Al Michaels voice and not young Al Michaels, but he did it like verbatim, word for word, and it was like effortless like that. Yeah. That there were so many different like technical things about that movie too that were really, really fascinating. There's a documentary on the making of that movie too, which is actually really, really good because of the interaction that the actors had with the current team, because they wanted to make that thing as real as possible. So when the guy who plays Michael Rizioni is going over like the goal itself and then his mannerisms after he scores the goal, and it's almost to a T, like the current players are really like proud of how they pulled that off. I thought that was really cool.
The only other times there were no words, Miracle on Ice, Tiger, but then also when Mickey Mantle died. And I do remember that because I remember getting that. And that was August 21st, 1995's issue.
But back to Don's point on Twitter. I mean, Al Michaels and Vin Scully. Hello. Hello. They have both of those iconic calls. All right. So celebrate accordingly what you do. Call your favorite Russian.
Have a white Russian.
Oh,
That's
there you
true.
go. There you go.
Watch the Big
That's
Lebowski.
true.
Yeah.
I don't know that I know any like Russians that are not athletes, but like personally, I don't think I know anybody from Russia.
Yeah, I don't know too many Eastern Bloc people to begin with. So
Yeah, Missouri's about as far east as I go. So.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
I
I'm
always
gonna
though
have to thumb through my phone.
I always was very interested when I lived off of 9th Street in Lincoln. There was a sign that had the Germans from Russia Museum in Lincoln.
Of course, I mean Lincoln. Yeah.
I never went.
Did you ever- why did you go?
I think it still exists, but I'd always see it. And I was like, that's kind of interesting.
Why don't you stop in?
We have a museum in Lincoln, Nebraska for the Germans that lived in Russia.
Yeah.
What time do they open? Could we send Sip there for a segment? Could be onto something.
Actually, it wouldn't shock me if Sip's been.
I wonder if he has actually been there.
I bet he has.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
But yeah, when I lived in the neighborhood, I was like, that's kind of interesting.
That's some borscht.
That was what, like 6th and D, I think, where the museum actually is located. I don't know if it's still open today. I don't know how popular it is. If people come to Lincoln and go, I want to go see the Huskers, and then I want to go see the Germans from Russia Museum.
All right, we can do both.
The story's untold.
28 past the hour.
Stop at Kincaid.
Look at Nebraska basketball wins on the road to Nebraska ball. Michael, join us coming up next. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's say, Min, I'm talking to you specifically. As Nebraska basketball fans, a couple of years ago, you had no energy. You were moody. You were anxious. You were like, I love Miles. I hate Fred. You were irritable. Even a 2-point win over a bad basketball team, and you're like, Nebraska could do better. You were impatient. You were like, man, they got to get rid of Fred. Then you became really, really depressed. Well, how would you like to really enjoy what is going on now and Fred Hoiberg making a run to get his team in the NCAA tournament? Well, Go Big Fred can help you, and also Mentality can help you, because Mentality will, with their FDA-approved testosterone treatment, they will figure out why you used to have low Fred, and now you've got high Fred, if that's what you want. Because maybe you're disinterested in what the Huskers are doing this year. You know, maybe also your spouse, you're like, I don't like Fred. I don't like Jenny. Okay. You have some relationship problems. Mentality wants to put you back on the right path so you can have better relationships with your spouse, with your kids, and with your love of Nebraska basketball. All you have to do is go to Mentality. Locally, right here in town, Low T USA is their website. They're approved testosterone treatment. They're board certified physicians. They're going to work with you. When you come in for your first visit, they're going to give you a complete physical exam. They're going to tell you that, hey, things might be down right now, but you're in better shape than the Indiana basketball team. They're going to give you a consultation and a complete blood panel with results on your very first visit. So let's get back to dunking instead of shooting air balls, men. And Mentality can help you. Go to the website right now, lowtusa.com.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
And I thought the quote from Ted Carter when he was asked the controversies that have followed Ross Bjork, Carter said, "A calm sea never produced a good sailor."
That made me laugh too.
To which I would say,
Thank you,
it makes a big difference, though, when the guy you hired is the one throwing the bombs in the ocean to make it rough seas.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from a Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Slightly cooler, but still plenty mild Thursday. Expect some clouds early on, then clearing out by the late morning. Plan on sunny and breezy conditions through the afternoon with northwest winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. Highs around 60. I'm meteorologist Sean Emerson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. There is a hazard reported at 86th and Cass eastbound. If you are going to be in this area soon, proceed with caution and expect temporary delays. And we do have a crash reported in the area of 108th and Center. There will be delays at this intersection as well. Please proceed cautiously and remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Cash Blast from the Nebraska Lottery is back. Up until April 2nd, buy a 2x2 ticket and enter to be one of 14 weekly winners of $5,000 or $500. Details at nelottery.com. 2x2 top prize odds, 1 in 105,000.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. We're in the middle of the best time of the year of basketball season, with meaningful games every night, with 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. The games have never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout, 162nd and Maple.
Sure, you could go elsewhere for your health and wellness products, or better yet, why not just come to 42 Degrees? Those other places don't even come close to the wide variety and premium disposable e-juice, CBD, Delta, Kratom, glass pipes, vaporizers, and other great products. With the friendliest, most knowledgeable, and professional staff who will find the right products just for you. If you're looking for a one-stop shopping experience, look no further. 42 Degrees. By your mom's house.
Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Shop Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram during Ram Truck Month and save on the entire lineup of heavy-duty trucks. Like the powerful and capable new Ram 3500 with an array of safety and tech features that will take your driving experience to the next level. Right now, get up to $15,500 off MSRP on our lineup of 2024 Ram 2500s and 2024 Ram 3500s. The most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Get started today at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com to find your next truck. Based on standard and available features offered with approved credit, tax title license extra. Woodhouse discount of $3,644. Manufacturer incentive of $9,856. $1,000 for qualifying trade and $1,000 when financed through Chrysler Capital. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/24. See dealer for details.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
Lanahaw Nurseries has been your dependable full-service source for locally grown trees, plants, and landscape materials. Rooted in tradition, our products and services are consistently ranked best of Omaha in quality and value. From design to install, our experts are here to help bring your landscape vision to life. Start your next project this weekend. Visit us at 192nd and Center. Lanahaw Nurseries, your homegrown headquarters since 1974.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Before we get to Nebraska Ball, Mike, we got Sarah Baker Hansen coming up in about 25 minutes. She's going to unveil what the bracket will be this year. Watching Indiana last night, and I've said this for a while, I think Nebraska football fans and Indiana basketball fans share a lot of similarities. The highs, the lows, the history, the championships, and then going through a malaise where it seems like it's coach after coach after coach. And I don't think Mike Woodson is in trouble, but God, they're on the struggle bus. They don't engage, and I know they've had injuries, and he alluded to that in the postgame. It's a bad look. But one of the things I thought about listening to their fans boo them off the floor, and another ugly loss at home, and they've lost 3 in a row. Think about how we look at sports, and especially like Nebraska football and Indiana basketball. Your whole perception about those two programs are based off your age.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we went and talked to the Peterman doing traffic and said, hey, give me your impression of Indiana basketball, he'll say, well, I've been kind of following since 2017. They haven't been very good.
Yeah.
They're not a very good program.
Right.
Not much success. I just, that's your age has a lot to do with your perception of a program. Like us in our late 40s, we're looking at Nebraska football in a different light compared to that 23-year-old that we say, hey, what do you think about Nebraska football? Our perceptions are completely different about the history and the success of a particular program. So, hello, Nebraska football fan, reach across the aisle and shake hands with the Indiana basketball fan.
And hopefully Zach Taylor was doing that with Indiana fans last night too, saying, hey, I hear you. I hear you. My alma mater's football program's going through the same thing.
Was he less like he wasn't incognito? He did. If you would have panned the crowd and not known who Zach Taylor was, you'd have been like, that guy probably works. He probably works at State Farm. He's an insurance guy in Bloomington.
And he just had like the unassuming like little Cincy hat on.
Yeah,
just like a white hat.
His son had a Tominaga jersey.
He did.
So good on him. I wonder if he'll be at the game in Columbus.
Next
week.
He should.
And then we've got
Good luck, Charm.
then the other part of the celebrity row last night.
Both of you are.
Is Chris Tucker. When did we meet Mike Woodson?
When he was with the Knicks, I bet.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah,
that was
would
my
make
theory
sense.
last night.
Good call.
And just shows up on a midweek in Bloomington, Indiana, just to support his guy. Hey, that's friendship.
Unless he went to Kemper Arena in the early to mid 80s and was a diehard Kings fan, which is very possible.
Maybe. I think Chris
Woody
Tucker liked to
Reggie
frequent
Theus,
Kansas City a lot. I
Otis
think there's stories to be
Birdsong,
told there. Yeah.
All right, here is Nebraska Ball Mike.
Hello.
Hello.
Lego Maniac.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Hello.
no. Listener
on crime. Go
They
ahead.
are kids. They are players, yes, but they are kids. Don't attack them personally. Please don't. Rick Mast is a great player. We don't beat Purdue without him. We don't beat Ohio State without him. Stop thinking that one game's going to make a year. It doesn't work that way. Jamarcus Lawrence, I'm proud of you. Nice to see you making an effort and getting better. And as far as this fan base, we need you on Sunday.
Oh, they'll be there.
We need 14 to 15,000, and we need you loud. We need to finish this. Jack, we can breathe. We're almost there. It's almost done. We can almost do this. But we need everybody. We need to finish.
All right, you channeled your little Herb Brooks there.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not. Are you? But have you put on? Are you ready to put on the dancing shoes? Are you?
I've opened the closet. I'm looking at the box.
Okay. What kind of shoes are those, Tim's?
Size 11s.
Oh, you wear a size
We're
11?
not finished.
Good on you, Mike.
All right. All right. So great. So I'm glad you got those New Balances in the closet and you'll be good. You ready to put your dancing shoes on? All right.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? We haven't heard from you in a while. You only call when Nebraska wins.
Well, congratulations on your Super Bowl.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate
heard,
that.
Different fan bases say different things about it. I can't verify what it was because I was going through some things and I didn't watch the whole game. I caught the end of it. So I know you guys won.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, my mind's been somewhere else.
Uh-oh. Everything okay?
March will be fun.
Okay. Are everything okay health-wise?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, my man. That's the most important thing.
I'm good.
All right. Well, enjoy last night's victory. Nebraska hasn't swept Indiana since when, and that turned out.
We made the tournament that year.
Yeah, the 13-14 season turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, and we need to do it for Fred too. He's had a great year.
He has. I've said this. I think he's in line with a double bye. Probably solidifies it, but I think he's going to be either one or two as a coach of the year. And 2 years ago, Mike, I don't think anybody would have said that.
No.
Yep, it's a pretty good story. All right.
All right. Have a good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, you too. I appreciate the phone call.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Next time we call back, we'll be talking about. The last time Nebraska went to the NCAA tournament, it's kind of a fun year, right?
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
The reality of the 13-14 year with Miles is Nebraska caught lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Okay, they got on a roll and they started stacking victories, and it was fun, and it was a ride for about 6 weeks where you're like, man, this is awesome.
Just never ended.
Miles was leaning into it. It culminated with the final regular season game on that Sunday. 13-14 was a lot of fun. It was a dud in Indianapolis on that Friday to get beat by 4 against Ohio State, but you knew they were going to the tournament.
Right.
And then you remember that Sunday, UVA, and finally Nebraska, for the first time since 98, shows up in the tournament. And you're like, this is awesome. And then you say, well, everybody's going to San Antonio, trading in Nebraska. And then the way the Baylor game, I mean, Baylor just strangled Nebraska.
It was a bad match.
Miles gets tossed. It was, you forget about those because you're like, man, that was kind of fun. So Nebraska really hasn't had like those moments, or maybe they have, maybe Purdue and Wisconsin. But this is, we do a lot of compare and contrast. Is this year fun? Like I remember 13-14 was a lot of fun. You were caught up in it. It was the first time in a while. Miles was like, hey, it's finally happening. Miles just got here. He tore it down and it's building back up. You got a good team. 13-14 was like every day, every night. You're like, bam, bam. Is this year fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just, I'm putting it out there because 13-14 now will get referenced more and more that Nebraska has headed in the right path to get back to the tournament.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it was probably would have been right around this time of that season. They had a really bad loss at Illinois. Now they were great at home, just like what we've seen this year too. But they also struggled on the road. And I remember during that winning streak that got broken up, and I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was in February that they beat Illinois at home and then they lost to them on the road. And after that, they kind of, again, closed out the season pretty favorably. But a lot of the fun of that season, and again, being the first year at Pinnacle Bank Arena, was how good they were at home. And so I think there's a lot of correlation that you can look at with this season, because now you're taking it to another level where they've had success at home, but you've knocked off now the number one team at the time with Purdue. That Wisconsin win was huge. Even the reunion, the Danny Nee reunion, where it wasn't like a really well-played game. It wasn't like one of Nebraska's best performances at home, but you hold off a tough Northwestern team. To me, it wouldn't be as fun if, say, they were okay, like maybe 500 in conference play at home, but they were really good on the road. I mean, it would obviously matter a lot to their resume, but I don't think it would be as much fun because it's almost to the point where you just kind of expect, no matter who they're playing at home, that they are going to play at a level that it's easy to get on board
Now,
with.
Fred last night used one of the first things he said to Pavelka was, "Are you enjoying this adventure?" He referenced that adventure. If you go back to 13-14, now the 13-14 was unexpected because they got absolutely blitzed. They went to Chrysler Arena. They got beat by 29. That
Yep.
Michigan team was a top 10 team.
Yep.
And they were, if I recall, they were maybe a game over 500 after that. And then they started to go on the run where the only game that they would lose would be the game you referenced
that
to
Illinois game
at Assembly Hall, where their offense was, they couldn't hit a shot. But yet they responded and they won their last three, including they went to Indiana and won late in the year that year. But it was kind of unexpected. Oh, all of a sudden Nebraska's in the tournament. So this is, I think, maybe even more unexpected. I wonder if this year is fun or it's like, oh my God, please win on the road. Please win on the road. I don't want to have to hear about these jabronis on the radio keep talking about that.
And we would have too. I mean, well, we don't have to, and that's the great thing about it. But imagine, especially with the way the game started out, if that 59-56 moment does not go the way for Nebraska, where Indiana is able to take the lead, and then they don't look back. The conversation that we're having, not only about, my God, how does this always happen, but also what does that do to Nebraska as far as how you've put it, and I think it's probably the best way, how they're in, but you can't play yourself out of it. That's all the conversation is today.
So it's kind of, if you the 13-14 year, that year, the Creighton game was on the road up here, and Nebraska got beat by 15, and they weren't super competitive in that game. And as you were alluding to, they really struggled on the road. Like conference, non-con. They had a nice non-con that year, which, by the way, started with FGCU. But here, there's a lot of similarities between how the year unfolded in both 13-14 and what's going on right now. Before we take a break, here is Jerry on our discussion about IU hoops and Nebraska football. Good morning, Jerry.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Doing well.
Good. Just a little story. My younger brother was in the military in maybe the mid to late 80s. One of his old buck mates was a kid from Indiana. And this would have been the Danny Nee era. And my younger brother just diehard. And he was saying how, Nebraska was NIT bound, or they'd won it, or whatever it was. And the kid from Indiana is like, are you kidding me? Indiana wouldn't even go to the NIT. And then we turn around and Indiana gets an invite to some bowl game. And he looks at my brother like, yeah. My brother's like, are you kidding me? Nebraska would never go to a toilet bowl like that. And so they actually did a bet. Who would we go first? Nebraska get to the Sweet 16 in basketball, or Indiana make it to the Rose Bowl?
Ooh.
And to my knowledge, that bet is still active.
It is very much still active. Yeah,
The
that might
dream
be
is still
That
alive.
might be active for a
It's
while.
going to be a long time before that bet. But maybe this year. Maybe this year for the Nebraska basketball team.
Maybe. Hey, Jerry, thanks for sharing.
No problem, guys.
All right.
Take care. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jerry.
Hey,
I like that.
You want another similarity between 13-14? Because I've told you, one of the funnest weeks on radio that I've had on this radio station was the week that Nebraska and Creighton were getting ready to go play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
It was listener on listener crime. It became media on media crime.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. And we're starting to inch towards that. I
Right.
can feel it in the station. Everybody's picking their color in this station. All right. There's a lot of blue in this station.
There is.
Okay.
There is.
I'm fighting an uphill battle here. All right. But there's a lot of blue, but it's as cool as it is, it's going to be a fight for, oh, we're in it. Nope. But you want another similarity? Remember in 13-14, which included the incredible performance at Villanova, which the shooting performance.
Yeah. People forget about that.
No, they don't. You know why? Because that same night, Nebraska beat a ranked Ohio State team and stormed the floor same night. And they shared the front page of the World Herald, and people lost their mind because, Creighton should be up, Billy.
Yep.
And that was kind of fun. It was like, we might got something going. Something also to keep in mind, that same year, Villanova comes back into Omaha when Creighton won at the Wells Fargo Center. Villanova was number 4.
Yeah.
Villanova came in here.
That was
late
that Sunday.
In the year.
Yeah, it was that
It's
Sunday game I was talking about.
Almost a year to the date, or to the date, because it was right after Valentine's Day.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Villanova rolled in here and they were number 6. And you remember, Creighton beat that crap
They
out.
did.
They beat them by 21 in that game.
And that place was, again, I'm not going to say it was as loud as what this last Tuesday would have been, but that was the best atmosphere that I've seen at that building when they beat Villanova that way. But what I say is people forget, because I think everybody remembers that Creighton game on the road where, Raggi just couldn't miss. He could have pulled up from the opposite side free throw line and he was going to drain them. But that Nebraska had that game that night too. Because I remember coming back,
storm the floor
from work, because it was an early game.
Pinnacle Bank Arena officials were screaming to get off the floor because it was going to ruin it.
Didn't that game start the Creighton game? It was almost 5:30.
Yeah,
like Central Time.
It was
very
I was
early.
Following the game at PBA, and I was like, "Whoa, this is unbelievable."
Yeah.
So, hey, we did in 13-14. Looks like it's got a good chance to happen again.
And I'll say this real quickly because of the two games here in the last 48 hours. I'm watching that Creighton game and I'm kind of in awe of what they're doing. And you're just sitting back like, man, I mean, with all respect to UConn, like knowing how good they are, like I was almost just kind of amazed by it. But I found myself last night probably more emotionally invested in that game. So when it comes to personally, like what's a bigger deal to me, it's what's going on in Lincoln.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I can safely say that just based on my emotions.
Nebraska making the NCAA tournament is the bigger story.
Yeah.
What happens after that?
You're right.
Is up in the air
because the expectations are different. They're much different. You'll be satisfied to see Nebraska in a bracket on Selection Sunday. For Creighton, that's happening. It's how far they take that thing.
They're gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Now we just need Omaha to go on a 3-game bender in Sioux Falls, and then all hell is going to break loose here. And then we can say it's a basketball state. I don't have to hear a radio host in the middays on 1620 go, "How can you say that to basketball fans?" I heard Happer's rant yesterday. I love that man. You know what? We're going to have so much fun. We're going to have fun in the media. Fans are going to go at each other. It'll be great.
Is he siding on the blue side?
Oh yeah, he should.
Okay.
That's okay.
He's Jay's live host.
He's a Jaysker.
Okay.
He should. But it is kind of interesting. He gets he double dips.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so he's really in an uncomfortable position.
Go sports, he says.
You got to choose your conversations.
It's great.
Walk that line.
And it may be Nebraska playing in this town.
No.
On Creighton's home floor.
Yep.
Oh, this is
surrounded by cornfields.
If they're to get the first NCAA tournament,
Creighton will go
win,
somewhere else and they'll just roll through the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
They'll just bludgeon a couple of teams. Nebraska's playing here.
They'll make their mark here.
Sports Talk Radio will reach a whole nother level for
First-
1620 The Zone. All right. Sarah Baker Hansen is coming up here in a little bit. Steve Sipple as well. I think Sip is all in on Go Big Friday.
Oh yeah. He's never wavered, even when they had some struggles this year. This year I'm talking about. I thought this year he's been
He keeps citing the road record. All I know is that since yesterday morning, Nebraska's 1-0 on the road.
That's right.
He's coming up as well. Brian Edwards on 1620 The Zone. All right, fans. Now, the NCAA tournament is around the corner, and Omaha is hosting the first and second round. And if you've seen some of the teams that might be here, from Kansas to Iowa State to Kentucky to Michigan State to Nebraska, don't wait. Don't wait to get your tickets. Go to ticketsforless.com right now. Don't wait to get in the house for Creighton and Seton Hall, Creighton and Marquette, Nebraska, Minnesota, Nebraska, Rutgers, or tonight, the final home game for Omaha against Oral Roberts. Tickets for Less has the tickets for you. It's the ultimate source for the biggest events, sports, concerts, more. Tickets for Less, also local. So go to the website or download their app right now. On the app, easy to browse for the hottest events. Plus, if you use the promo code THEZONE, you can save on your next order. Every seat holds a story. Find yours today at ticketsforless.com or that Tickets for Less app. And don't forget to use at checkout, where there are no ticket fees, use the promo code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, That's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Get pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
The Serve Nebraska Volunteer Service Commission was created to ensure that community service would always be a priority in our state. I'm Governor Jim Pillen, and this year I'm inviting you to help celebrate Serve Nebraska's 30th year by becoming a volunteer. Our state's best resource is its people. You have the potential to make a significant impact. Thank you.
Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Say there's a lot to do this season in Nebraska's outdoors. There's always hiking in the state parks. There's bird watching. There's trout stream fishing action. There's scouting for that spring wild turkey hunting trip. And there's looking for shed deer antlers in your favorite woods. So there's no reason to be a couch potato, is there? No. Get outdoors and enjoy. Well, it's time to get all your new permits and stamps for hunting, fishing, fur harvesting, and state parks. Time to check your motorboat registration for renewal. Time to make those cabin and camping reservations in the state parks if you haven't done that already. And time to go over all of your outdoor gear for spring and summer. Get more information on Nebraska's outdoor scene by going to the Game and Parks website, outdoornebraska.gov. And that'll wrap it up. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Shop Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram during Ram Truck Month and save on the entire lineup of heavy-duty trucks. Like the powerful and capable new Ram 3500 with an array of safety and tech features that will take your driving experience to the next level. Right now, get up to $15,500 off MSRP on our lineup of 2024 Ram 2500s and 2024 Ram 3500s. The most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Get started today at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com to find your next truck. Based on standard and available features offered with approved credit. Tax title license extra. Woodhouse discount of $3,644. Manufacturer incentive of $9,856. $1,000 for qualifying trade and $1,000 with finance through Chrysler Capital. $299 dock fee to its signing. Offer expires 2/29/24. See dealer for details.
Hi, this is Stacey McGilligan, Director of Sales for NRG Media Omaha. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished bilingual new business development salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to the next level. Is this you? Our multimedia account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG Media lets you make a real difference in our community. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
So the one thing about college basketball is atmospheres. Tuesday night, we had an incredible atmosphere downtown for Creighton and UConn. For about 5 minutes, they had a cool atmosphere at Assembly Hall in Bloomington yesterday. Mm-hmm. So all about creating atmospheres, big arena, when you're winning, all of those kind of things. I don't run in Penn State's athletic program, but if I had a tip for them,
just move back to that building.
Yeah, keep playing the rec.
Stay in the rec center.
Yep.
So they had 6,846 there last night, and they still weren't full.
Right.
And of all games to play Illinois there,
yeah,
who is one of the better teams in the Big Ten, who probably now is out of the trust tree. Just ask yourself, who do you trust in the Big Ten to go the furthest? But Penn State won, down 14, came back. I don't know what Hawkins was doing, fouling the three-point shooter late. He also missed 2 free throws with 18 seconds to go. Bad loss for Illinois. Especially coming out, Penn State has to dismiss their leading scorer because he couldn't find his way to a classroom.
Right.
But the students, the handful of them rushed the floor. I think it'd be such a letdown for Penn State. And I don't know their schedule off the top of my head. to go back into the soulless Bryce Jordan Center, because that's what that place is. If you've ever been there, it's a dungeon.
It's where good basketball goes to die.
You sit so far away from the floor. Even some like exciting Penn State teams, like last year, Shrewsbury had an exciting team that really then made a mark once they got to the Big Ten tournament. I know there are more seats, there's more revenue, but atmosphere, what it looks like on TV, Penn State hit a home run in the rec center. I don't think Nebraska or Creighton will never do that because they play in NBA arenas where the revenue is important.
And you get people there and the atmosphere is, it's palpable.
Playing, fun and games, it'd be kind of cool to think, hey, could Nebraska go into the Coliseum and play a game? The Coliseum looks a lot different these days. Could Creighton men ever play at Sokol? They won't.
Right.
But Penn State is not generating the revenue from full buildings like Nebraska and Creighton are. The rec center is ideal. Like Kansas State, at least they're generating revenue in Bramlage.
Ahern?
They went to Ahern one time. Michigan State a while back played one game back in the field house, like as a tribute. It might have been a Magic Johnson type game where they wore the uniforms from the 80.
Yeah.
Texas has done it with Gregory Jim.
Yeah, I thought it was great last night. But now you got to go back into an arena where you're like,
well, and if you're Mike Rhodes, and that was the other thing, like people were wondering, like, okay, did they have some type of renovation going on at Bryce Jordan Center? No, I mean, like this was Mike Rhodes' this was his thinking out of the box, just trying to do something different. And he had mentioned that all he has heard about is some of the great times that they had at the rec center. So he wanted to get at least one game in there, and they pulled it off. I thought it looked good on TV, and the fact that you win a big game like that too. I've never been to the Bryce Jordan Center when they've actually had people in there, but what I was told is there's not much difference because we were just kind of looking at the facilities when we were there for a baseball trip, and I went in there, and like the arena itself, when you get in there, like on the floor, it's like, it's nice.
But you sit so far away.
Everything looked like it was so spread out, and it looks huge. And my first thought was, because I didn't know off the top of my head, what do they average attendance wise? This just seems too big for them. And
that was cool last night.
It really was.
It was a win for Penn State in a lot of different levels.
I think you got to go back there.
All right, halftime upon us. At a halftime, Sarah Baker Hansen will be on the field. She's ready to announce her bracket for 2024. The food bracket is back. What food are we going to be doing with the bracketologists? Tim Kruger and Joe Lenardi and Shelby Master are all going to be fighting. Brad Evans will be in there. Gary, Jimmy, and Nick and Sarah. She'll announce it coming up next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. That earlier crash near 107th and Center has been cleared. Traffic is picking up in some areas. Dodge eastbound starting around 180th up to 144th, pretty slow there, as well as JFK northbound between L Street and I-80. It will probably pick up a lot more here in the next hour or so. Just remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
What does Saul's loan on? Almost everything, like jewelry, gold chains, bracelets, earrings, wedding rings, and high-end watches, guns, electronics, $10 to $50,000, super fast and easy with no credit check. Saul's loans on almost everything.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our quinces. the same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
If you're looking for a safe and reliable vehicle to get you through all types of winter weather and more, Baxter Subaru has you covered. Symmetrical all-wheel drive comes standard on nearly all Subaru models and provides you better traction, improved stability, and maximized performance on wet and snowy roads. So hop in the driver's seat of a new Outback, Forester, or Crosstrek now at Baxter Subaru Omaha. Shop our great sales and service deals now during the Subaru A Lot to Love event at BaxterSubaruOmaha.com.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home this Wednesday to take on Seton Hall at 8 p.m. for a bide night and a blue out. Limited tickets are still available for this primetime Wednesday night matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, time to talk to our good friend. This is a big moment. We're about to unveil a bracket. It is our resident foodie, Sarah Baker Hansen, joins us now. Good morning. How is this early Thursday treating you?
Good morning. Not too bad. What about you?
Good. We're going to get to the exciting news, but I have to ask you, in your world and a place that you and Matthew love and you've talked about, and I think all of us that have been to Yoshitomo love, what does it mean when the head football coach at the University of Nebraska goes on a national podcast and he's talking food and he drops that on Reese Davis of ESPN's College Game Day podcast?
Foodie.
How about our coaches are into the food scene like he is?
Well, I had to laugh because I got a text from my brother-in-law, my father-in-law, like all these people are like sending me this thing. And I was like, wait a second, guys. I've been saying this as an actual food critic who has more than a decade of experience for years. But now that Matt Rule says it, and now it's gospel.
It is
so
gospel.
I guess, now I guess I should be happy because I was proven correct.
So he loves that place. There are a couple of places like Stella's in Bellevue. He took a picture with the owners, and they've got the picture up right as you walk into it. There's a couple other places in town where they've got his picture up. I mean, I think that's kind of cool for those restaurants and the food scene in Omaha. And he spends a lot of time up here that he is out and about.
It's
dining.
cool. It's cool that he enjoys restaurants and, supports local. I mean, what more could we ask for? I appreciate the fact that he isn't going to, big chain restaurants that he's like enjoying all of our local culinary scene has to offer. That's what I always encourage that. So it's nice to see.
Well, and Sarah, you do this so well, so I'm not going to even attempt to try to tell you how to do your job. But I feel like, as they referred to him on that podcast, as he is a very well-known foodie, I feel like the next review, I could see him being on board with it, that you guys go review a restaurant together. Now, let's face it, Matt will just be excited to go there and check out the local scene and have the food. But I would be curious if he could hold his own when it comes to actually a proper review like you do. I feel like this is something you should work on here.
I'm guessing there are going to be a few hoops that I would have to jump through to make that happen. But if anybody has his cell phone number, I'd be glad to send him a text and invite him to dinner.
We'll try to make this happen.
Now, the other part which became kind of interesting was this fascination outside of the borders about what we do with our cinnamon rolls and chili.
Yeah.
There's the general belief that we have them together, which I'm glad that he kind of said, no, that's not how it works. They're separate.
It's really interesting. A lot of people have asked me about the origin story of chili and cinnamon rolls, and I don't exactly know it. It's not, I don't think it's kind of one of those, I guess, sort of more of a legend than a fact. But from what I've understood, the place that it started was in the public school system, where chili and cinnamon rolls was an item on the school menu for kids. And I think it kind of took off from there, unlike the Reuben, which has a real kind of just fact-based story. I've understood that's where it started. So, I mean, I really like it together. I think the flavors work really well. I have been at many a gathering where there is chili and cinnamon rolls, and I've never really turned down either.
All right. And this is kind of referring to odd combinations. Have you or will you try the Valentino's pizza flavored ice cream at 402 Creamery?
So that was on my mind because they also did a chili and cinnamon rolls ice cream, which I didn't get to try. I mean, I would, you guys know me pretty well at this point. There's nothing I would say no to trying, at least. I think it sounds like kind of a weird combination, but
it does, yes.
I think chili and cinnamon rolls makes more sense than ice cream and pizza, but that's just me.
All right. Without further ado, this has been quite the conversation starter. People that have had businesses that have been in the bracket, they have gained new customers because you look at it and you go, I haven't been there. I got to go try it. We've done pizza. We've done craft beer, which was super popular last year. This year, in the 2024 Sarah Baker Hansen food bracket, we will be doing
buffalo wings.
Now, this is going to elicit quite the conversation, I imagine.
Yeah. So we also did burgers, and so we've knocked out kind of sort of the big three. And my cohort in this, his name is Ben Van Cat. We used to work together at the Omaha World Herald. We're good friends outside of business, and we do the bracket together. He works for Hanscom Park Studio, the graphic design and website design that does my website. And so every year we kind of put our heads together and we think, like, what are we going to do? And to me, it was sort of like the big one that we had yet to do was buffalo wings, because it's such a food that's associated with sports. And so, we are going to do wings. We're going to include Omaha and Lincoln. So I think, the big thing right now is we're going to get into seating here in a week or so, but we're asking all of your listeners to send us their suggestion for, we've got most of the known places, but we're looking for those kind of hidden gem, under the radar. Where is the favorite wing place that nobody talks about that needs to be included in the 2024 SBH wing bracket? So we've got close to 50. But we need to want to get to 64.
Okay.
So we're looking for some places that we may never heard of or never been to. And I can tell you this, I will be eating a lot of wings starting probably in the next week or so. There's several places already on the list that I either hadn't heard of or want to try. So as always, I will be devoting the next few weeks leading up to the contest start on my blog to buffalo wings, and then be reviewing buffalo wing places during the course of the contest.
So, and I know you probably have like a rough idea of how you want to do this, breaking it down in, like, remember having the regionals from one category. Buffalo wings, is there going to be like a spice element? Like, what are we kind of looking at as far as the categories here in the different regions?
I think we're probably going to do the region by kind of like location versus actual, spice or flavor. And I think, it kind of gets a little bit dicey to figure this out exactly. But I think, for the wings themselves, we'll be kind of judging the classic buffalo wing, I think, is what we're going to be asking people to vote for. So, whatever type of buffalo wing you prefer, I think the classic style with hot sauce is kind of what we'll be looking for. And so as far as regions go, we haven't gotten those quite divided out, though I'm fairly sure that Lincoln will be its own region, and then I don't know exactly how those will break down, but yeah, we're thinking that's how it'll work. And so that's worked well for us in the past in doing them by sort of zip code.
Ed says, "Are you including Council Bluffs?" He goes, "Because I vote for Salty Dog."
Yeah, we always include sort of the Omaha metro area. So Council Bluffs, Elkhorn, Williams Vista, Bellevue, all of those areas count. So yeah, I'll be reviewing kind of our list. I don't have it open in front of me. I should have opened it up to confirm or deny whether Salty Dog is on there, but I'll add it. and I'm expecting that we'll get quite an onslaught. So if people want to either send me a tweet or they can send me an email at sbh@sarahbakerhanson.com with their wing choice, or comment on any of my social media. I'll be doing a post about the bracket later today where people can make their comments on Instagram and Facebook also.
I think there's going to be so many. Because, like when you ever, if you show up in Omaha and go, "Hey man, I want to find a place that has the best wings. You're going to get tracks. You're going to get Oscars."
Yeah.
Probably the two of the quick ones ever.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, varieties.
Yeah, I'll him. There's going to be. I think we're going to get a lot of sleeper picks as well, like places that you would not expect where they had good wings. They're known for
Yeah.
pizza, but their wings, like Oscars, does really well with both. But I think there's some places that don't promote their wings as much. But if you've had them, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're looking for. So like, when you look up online, there's a lot of restaurants that have wings on their menu, but a lot of these restaurants I've never been to before. I don't have a lot of history with. I don't know if they should be included or not. So we're kind of going to crowdsource this a little bit, which I think adds to the fun. People really like to see their personal pick in the lineup. And when you get up to 64 restaurants, you can include a lot. So really the only time we've had to eliminate places was burgers. Because, this is Nebraska. Almost every place has a burger. But, when it comes to this, I think there's going to be a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge. A lot of people in Nebraska are surprisingly passionate about wings. So, as I'm prepared for the debate over our seated restaurants. Honestly, like, I think it's a lot of fun and a conversation starter. And if people didn't care, they wouldn't argue on Twitter. So I honestly kind of look forward to it.
Absolutely. And I remember last year with the craft beer debate, like as it got down to the nitty gritty, there was a lot of people that were chiming in as far as, come on, that one said
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you with how you are going to mention the traditional buffalo wing. I'm assuming that also means are we eliminating like boneless? Because I'm in the mindset that I don't think boneless ones are necessarily buffalo wings. I won't go as far as call them saucy nuts or whatever. But also, are we enjoying these with either blue cheese or ranchers and just straight up the taste from the wing itself with no other sauce?
I think we could include, I don't know, I'm making this up. So I think we can,
It's your rules.
let's include buffalo, or let's include ranch and blue cheese, because I feel like that's kind of a natural pairing, right? Especially if the dip, the sauces are homemade. I feel like that's kind of extra points in my mind. But no to boneless wings. I did a story about wings many moons ago about a food trial when I was at the newspaper, and I was just I'm not deeply passionate about boneless versus bone-in, but you know what, a lot of people are, and so I made that choice a long time ago, and I'm going to stick to it.
Another listener wants to know if Benson Brewery already been nominated.
I think Benson Brewery is on the list. I could be mistaken, but that one is on there. Most of the ones like we've named so far, other than I'd have to double check Salty Dog, but I think all of the ones that we've named are on the list. And in addition to a lot of other sports bars, like I think Cunningham's is on there. I know the main places in Lincoln are all kind of on the list, but we're really looking for the places that whoever this is, a Buffalo Wings aficionado, that they really like X place, they want to know about it.
I'm trying to imagine again as this thing gets down to it, because when you unveiled the craft beer one, I had an idea of who I thought might kind of be involved in the Final Four.
Yeah.
This is another one when you get down to it. this is going to be highly contested because there are people that are, I mean, they swear by this place versus that place. Like there is an Addie's crowd, there is an Oscars crowd, there's a Cunningham's crowd for sure. I would even throw in some sleepers. I know a lot of people. One of my first experiences in Lincoln was Watering Hole. Like there's a lot of places that are. There are a lot of people that are extremely passionate that. Oh, you like that? No, you got it. So this. I think we're headed to this again, like we were last year.
I think you're right. I just pulled up my computer. Salty Dog is on the list. Okay. Let's see. Vincent Brewery. Oh, I take it back. Vincent Brewery isn't on there, but I'm just gonna take it. Yeah. And so it's interesting. Watering Hole's on there. Ruthie's, Buzzard Billy, all of those places. But then, okay, so this is an example of a place that I had never heard of in Lincoln. It's called Rita's Pizza and Chicken Fusion. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah. So, I also there's a place on the Omaha list, Coco's Korean Fried Chicken. Never heard of it. Excited to check it out. So, and then, of course we have Brave, Oscars, Track, Everest, Life, Cop. Cop is an interesting one. Like, they're obviously known for pizza, but they also have wings. So, I can say we're up to on our base list we're up to 41 places. Okay. So I think we can get to 64 with help from 1620 listeners.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about that.
I'll be curious, Sarah. There was a place now they moved locations, but people that kind of grew up in like the Harvey Oaks and the Millard area remember the observatory when it was in the neighborhood. Then it moved over kind of by where the old Shopco is on 144th in the center. Mm-hmm. They were Parmesan garlic ones. They're called Parmesan Sean. They have fantastic wings with that flavor, and I can honestly say maybe their regular buffalo wings are really good. I've never had them other than the Parmesan ones, but those could possibly make their way into nominations. That wouldn't shock me.
Sweet. Okay. The other thing I really am curious about, and I just have a hunch on this. So this is not a fact, but I am curious to know if the idea of or the dish of what we call charbuff wings was started in Omaha. Ooh. Because I have, traveled pretty extensively. I have never seen it anywhere else. I've Googled it. I've done a little bit of research, and I haven't done a ton of research, and I haven't done a story about it. But I may time to launch an investigation to see if charbuff wings are an Omaha thing or if they were started somewhere else. Because from my initial looking it up, I can't find anywhere else where they exist.
Where can people that are now people are excited?
They're already emailing me. Yeah, I'm already getting emails.
All right, so where can they get a hold of you again?
So they can. I'm going to put a post on my Facebook and my Instagram, and I'll put one on Twitter too, where they can email me or comment. Or you can send me an email at give you two different emails. Let's just do one. SarahBakerHanson@gmail.com. Send me an email. Include your pick. What you think we should include in the 2024 Buffalo Wings bracket. Particularly, we're looking for under the radar spots, but if you're just really passionate about wings, you can send us whatever you want. We won't turn your suggestion away.
This is going to be fantastic. I'm excited for the introduction of the bracket for this year. It's been a rousing success every year before. We look forward to it. I look forward to the discussion and eating some wings.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Sarah, thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
That is Sarah Baker Hanson. I got to think. So
love this.
So I grew up with Watering Hole wings in Lincoln.
They're fantastic.
I moved away. I came back, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened to this place?" They
got fancy.
Yeah, they got fancy.
Yeah,
it used to be, like you would drop a chicken wing underneath the booth, and you'd come back like 3 weeks later, and it'd still be there.
It would be there. Yeah.
No, I was like
it'd be on the bottom of your shoe.
No, I'm serious. I used to spend a lot of time at the Watering Hole in downtown Lincoln.
Yeah.
And when I came back for a Husker football weekend after I was living in Florida, I was like, and I was like, hey, I want to, I give you places where you want to go to when you come back to visit.
Right.
And I want to go to the Watering Hole. And so I met some buddies there, and I was like, whoa, what happened? Because it was like nice. Yeah. I'm like, whoa.
No, that's not what you signed up for.
Like I intentionally carved my name into a booth. Where is that booth at? But I would think, though, in Lincoln, your 1 and 2 seeds are probably Watering Hole and End Zone.
I've never had wings there at End Zone, but Watering Hole,
So
number one for sure.
So when the End Zone first opened, they wanted to attract Husker football players.
Mm-hmm.
So they give them deal on wings. So there'd be like linemen would come in there and they'd eat like 48 wings and they would like take their picture and stuff.
Right.
But there's some good places. Like there's a place called Eagle's Nest in Surprise, just outside of Lincoln. There's another place in Bennett that I remember going to. Like there's some places outside on the outer edges of Lincoln that are really, really good for wings. In this town, this is going to be really competitive because as we were just talking, it's not just the Tracks, the Everetts, the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
There are some
Addies you have to put in there.
There's some like surprise places that don't promote wings that do wings well. Somebody told me that Shucks has a good wing.
The fish
Really?
house?
Because of the sauce, whatever they put on it.
Really?
Is like a really good wing that nobody really talks about. So I'm excited for this bracket now.
Would they like to sponsor a morning show on the Zone?
Carrie says smoke wings from Wilson and Washburn. It's downtown.
I've
Harney.
never had wings there. Their food is pretty good there.
I've never eaten. I've always drank there.
Yeah, that's been most of
You
mine
say downtown
too.
Kearney?
No, it's down on Harney. It's like
on Harney,
14th and Harney.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. 'Cause I've heard of Wilson and Washburn. That's why.
Oh gosh, I'm going to have to reach out to my friends in the Platte County area. There was a place, I think it's Genoa Tavern. It was in the Genoa sort of Silver Creek area. Or no, it's Monroe. It's Monroe. There is a wing joint there. I think it's the East Side Cafe. I think that's what it's called. In Monroe, it was always a thing when I got to Columbus. Everyone was always just geeked out. I think it was like Wednesday nights, like, oh yeah, you guys want to go get wings in Monroe? I'm like, what is this and why and huh? And it is just like on a paper plate. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of
dive bars.
Yep, dive bar. It reminded me a lot
towns.
of Watering Hole, kind of and just a little bit of the grease with those wings too that make it so much better. So I'd have to nominate them. But Observatory, that is one I might have to check out just to see if the buffalo wings were as good as their the wings itself. The Sean, they're called Parmesan Sean. Do you remember John McCardle?
Yes.
It's his brother, Sean McCardle, who they're named after him. He kind of created this like rub, and that's what they use them for it's Parmesan Sean. Those are great, but I've never had the actual just regular buffalo wing there, but those wings were fantastic too. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I know who's probably going to be around in like the Elite 8 and Sweet 16. It's the sort of the early upsets in the under the radar type places, especially in Omaha, that I want to check out because I feel like I know the main players. I want to see some of these other places.
Who's the Izzo equivalent?
Yeah, exactly.
James says it's been closed for years now, but Grandmother's back in the day was on fire.
Really?
I
always had a cheeseburger there.
I miss this is when I wasn't living in Omaha or Lincoln that my dad would come over and he'd scout the state baseball tournament at Rosenblatt or at Seymour Smith.
Yeah.
And he loved Grandmother's. So we would go to 84th, 84th and L in Ralston and go to Grandmother's. And I miss Grandmother's. Grandmother's was on.
Great.
So Grandmother's also had a place in Lincoln on Sun Valley Boulevard. I miss Grandmother's. Now it's a bank.
They should do wings at that bank.
Hey,
Doug? Huh? Idea.
I think the family started to fall apart in Omaha when Grandmother's left. That was in your family's regular rotation, was Grandmother's on a Sunday.
Absolutely. We had gone there many times. This is going to sound like a weird, random menu item, but their potato soup, their baked potato soup was outstanding. So good.
See, we're now going to go down the hole again of
like
reminiscing about old things in Omaha. And eventually it'll get back to Omaha Knights hockey in the 70s. All right. Steve Sipple, who
likes hockey.
So back in the day when Sip was just Steve.
Just Steve.
Yeah.
Just Steve. Unassuming Steve.
Stephen from the paper.
Steve and I used to hang out.
Yeah.
So we've done wings before. I wonder what he thinks is the best wings in Omaha. He strikes me as an end zone guy.
Okay.
Like he works across the street basically from the watering hole.
Yeah.
But I think he's a guy that would take he would go down the steps and inside to the end zone, which will be, by the way, will be packed on Sunday before Nebraska, Minnesota. So Sip's coming up next. Brian Edwards a little bit later. More thoughts on Nebraska, Indiana. Mac made a national appearance over on 1180. Had some things to say on a question he was asked about his future. And also we'll talk about the uniforms in baseball, where you can't see the names on the back of the jerseys, but from the International Space Station, you can see their private parts. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. and the patches on their uniform.
Yep.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
The suspicious activity also included the Better Showing Sportsbook staff messages from Bohannon and explaining that the messages were Bohannon informing Better that Bama was scratching its starting pitcher before the game before Bohannon alerted LSU.
So the
guys, look, I have messages from the coach.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from a Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Slightly cooler, but still plenty mild Thursday. Expect some clouds early on, then clearing out by the late morning. Plan on sunny and breezy conditions through the afternoon with northwest winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. Highs around 60. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. No accidents to report, but some slow traffic throughout the city, especially Dodge eastbound, starting at about 192nd all the way down to 90th. 90th and Dodge pretty busy in all directions. Also slow I-680 on the outer loop between Dodge and Pacific, as well as JFK northbound between Chandler and L. Please stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Come on, when was the last time you had your Fernando's fix? It doesn't get any better than lunch, dinner, carry-out, even catering from Fernando's. Get your Fernando's fix. 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific, and FernandosOmaha.com.
It's easy to see the common signs of transmission trouble.
If your engine revs before into gear, if it seems to switch gears for no reason, so watch for the signs. Certified transmission, the job done right at the right price.
Shop Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram during Ram Truck Month and save on the entire lineup of heavy-duty trucks. Like the powerful and capable new Ram 3500 with an array of safety and tech features that will take your driving experience to the next level. Right now, get up to $15,500 off MSRP on our lineup of 2024 Ram 2500s and 2024 Ram 3500s. The most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Get started today at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com to find your next truck. Based on standard and available features offered with approved credit, tax title license extra. Woodhouse discount of $3,644. Manufacturer incentive of $9,856. $1,000 for qualifying trade and $1,000 when financed through Chrysler Capital. $299 dock fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/24. See dealer for details.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
Thursday, February 22nd is your last chance to see Omaha Maverick men's basketball as they gear up for the conference tournament. Join the Maverick men for senior night as they take on Oral Roberts. This is always a classic matchup. Plus, with just 4 home games left, your Omaha Maverick hockey team takes on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup on Friday and Saturday night. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks.
The Nebraska Pool and Spa Expo on February 23rd through the 25th with 30 plus hot tubs and swim spas on display
from multiple manufacturers.
Up to 50% off retail pricing. Hot tubs from $44.99.
Same day delivery.
0% financing. Act now. Only 3 days. Come get factory direct savings on a new hot tub or swim spa.
This February 23rd through the 25th
at the Keystone Event Center. 3 days only. The Nebraska Pool and Spa Expo.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha frequently conducts clinical trials for a broad range of investigational treatments. Typical studies involve medications for acne, allergies, chronic diseases, depression, and others. They also perform vaccine studies for people of all ages, conducting innovative research that has a positive impact on lives. Click for current trials at velocityclinicaltrials.com. More trials are launching in March. Compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, time to talk to the man, myth, the legend. Radio voice on 93.7 The Ticket. Personality on onthing.com. Whether it be video or online is simple. Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
Good. Very serious tone. How are you doing?
Oh, I got. This could be a little rocky.
Why?
Cell phone outage?
Until I get to my truck, I'm walking down an alley.
Oh, hey, be careful because you live in Crime Town.
Do I? And I
yes.
Sure. I'm until I get to my truck.
Okay.
Well, walking too hard.
Yeah, just give us a little idea. What's anything in the alley? Any seedy characters or anything? Any animals?
No, just pretty routine brick alley. You know where the dish? You know where the theater is downtown Lincoln?
Yes.
And the dish.
Okay, I know know exactly where you're at. So, kind of in that area, we just had our good friend Sarah Baker Hansen on, and she does a food bracket every year this time of the year, and she has done pizza, burgers, craft beer. She is doing wings this year. She will have a Lincoln regional and an Omaha regional. According to you, and I don't know, because back in the day, you used to be a wing guy.
I am.
Best wings in Lincoln are?
Well, I mean, this is no exaggeration. Myself and at least one grandkid, and sometimes two, we've gone to Buffalo Wings and Rings probably in the last 5 years. I would estimate 600 times.
Wow. Wow.
600. And that's probably
pretty good.
If I'm going over 5 years, it's probably not an exaggeration. So I'm going with Buffalo Wings and Rings, and I do love their habanero. I walk in and they give me this. They don't even take my order anymore. I get a salad with habanero wings.
You get the sip. Yeah, that needs to be a menu item. You know what? Buffalo Wings and Rings. That's another good one. Again, a lot of meat on that bone too. They give you a good size.
The big wing, they're big wing. They're big, and they're excellent, and the service is incredible. So I would. I'm always an advocate of Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Okay. Have you done any endorsements for them? I feel like that's just
I
a
don't
natural
think they
fit.
let me. Yeah, they treat us incredibly well.
Okay.
At 600 times. I don't know exactly, but
No
if
way.
we're not there for a 2-week period, it gets.
Do they call you?
Yeah, they get worried.
They DM
They
you?
one time send me a card. They sent me a card to wonder where you're at, that sort of thing.
They do a welfare check on you.
No welfare check. Anyway.
They send you a card. Hey, just thinking about you today.
Hey, so last night, Nebraska wins against Indiana, and they changed the conversation. So now it's on to what else do they have to do to make sure that they're inside of the field of 68. What do you think if Mast and Lawrence and Tominaga and they get Wiltshire back to playing and shooting like he was during the run about 3 weeks ago, if they get everybody going at the same time on the same day of a game, what do you think the ceiling is for this Nebraska basketball team?
Really high. I mean, it's really high. I mean, you see it. I've been saying it now for a couple of weeks. They're really dangerous. That doesn't, when I say they're really dangerous, it doesn't mean that they're without flaws and that they can't stumble, but they are really dangerous. And I believe in this college basketball season where there's no dominance. I just don't see it. I watched UConn the other night, and I'm not in any way diminishing Creighton's win. It was a great night. Anytime you beat number one, it's a very significant moment. But UConn's not. I mean, they're not a dominant team. They don't look that way to me at all. So Nebraska is scary, and it's even more scary in a season like this. They've already beat a number one team. They can do that. So I just keep saying they're dangerous. They're scary, kind of for the same reason you're saying it. But you could have taken Rink Mass out of the game yesterday, and they still would have won. Yeah. He had 2 points, I think, in that game, maybe 4. Didn't hardly do anything. Didn't need to do anything because they're going that well right now. Dangerous because and when I say that, it's because of what I've said. Really, since the start of the season, they have guys that can shoot it, and that it sounds very simple. But how many teams do you know that just have guys that can't shoot? Coaches recruit guys that can't shoot. It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen in the world. Like Nebraska has recruited guys that all shoot.
And this is always the kind of Nebraska athletics conversation that we have when it comes to the mental psyche. They overcome a moment last night where we all thought, oh, God, here we go. Again, at 59-56, they respond. And so when you're able to have that tighten up the way it did, but still be able to not only get that first road victory in conference play, but do it in that way where it could have went the other way very quickly. Does that also kind of add to what you're talking about of, all right, that makes maybe a team a little bit more dangerous because now they kind of breathe that sigh of relief and now they know that, okay, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I haven't seen the post-game comment. It's interesting we have these conversations. I do think they needed to get the multi off their back. Did they breathe? I mean, were they scared? I don't know. I'm thinking Tominaga thinking about it when Indiana made a second half run. When it was Bryce Williams thinking about it. Really thinking about it. I don't know if they really think about it. I don't know. Sometimes I give athletes more credit than I give up. You know, that we have a monkey on our back. It seems like today. I don't know. I mean, I thought they played really well against Illinois on the road. Really against Illinois, I was of the mind that I don't know if this is a big mental hurdle that we keep talking about. They looked fine against Illinois. They should have won the game, and I don't think it was a mental hurdle that kept them from getting over the top against Illinois. They just didn't make shots down the stretch. Well, they did. They did everything they pretty much needed to do and didn't win. So I wasn't at that point. I was kind of like, oh, I think they're all right. And now some of this is also the fact that Indiana had I knew Indiana would make a charge because that's what happens usually. But I didn't think Indiana was playing well enough to get over the top. So really nothing about it surprised me.
Let's talk some football. You guys at Restaurant Line did the thing at St. Michael's last week. And it was a really, really good event. And coaches were, ask a good question, you get a good response. But there was one name that came up that what are you hearing? He's changed position. And what are you hearing and what do you think of Jeremiah and his future of playing a lot of football in 24?
Just a moment. And I wasn't there. I was not there at the event. So I don't know exactly what was said about Jeremiah Charles. I just know that Matt Ruhl referenced him. He's in a group of guys that gets referenced. Young guys that have made an impression in a kind of behind the scenes way. We haven't actually seen him on Saturday. So he's in a group of those guys that big time speed. I don't like to say too much. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But there's a group of guys that kind of you'll be intrigued. Are they And then guys like Jeremiah Strong, that we haven't seen because they didn't play last year for whatever reason, or they played very sparingly. So there's a lot of new blood that's going to materialize. But
I want to ask you also, if Matt Rule has kind of done some national conversations and some local conversations. We've been getting into this a lot this week when it comes to scheduling, and where now the Big Ten, we know it will be. What were your thoughts on kind of his overall scheduling philosophy, where he, for lack of a better term, would like to maybe take it a little bit more easy when it comes to the non-conference side of it, and really, kind of focus on that strength of what this conference will now have.
Yeah, he's talking and thinking strategically as it relates, to college football playoffs. What he says makes a lot of sense. It's just interesting that he said, I mean, some coaches would think that and not necessarily verbalize it. Matt Rule, as we all know, he's very transparent just about everything. He's more transparent in these sort of matters. Mike Riley was transparent like that too, where he would just pretty much tell you what was on his mind, how he was thinking about something. Like, what am I talking about? Like when Rule talked about certain players, remember how we were kind of surprised he was talking about the running back fumbling issue last month. That we were kind of like, wow, we haven't heard that here. In the scheduling matter kind of falls into that. Now, I fundamentally agree with it because because of the Big Ten and the way it's evolved, how tough the Big Ten schedule is. And I just think that it just boils down this. You don't want to take his line of thinking too far. You don't want to make it ridiculous. But on the other hand, we did see Michigan with a ridiculously easy non-conference push to a national championship. And nobody said we really do too much about it. It wasn't, nobody was downgraded. So I totally understand it. I've always been, I'm not going to lie, I've always been that way. I've never, now when Nebraska was really good, it definitely made some sense to play a really strong non-conference team, have fun, and you didn't worry about too much because Nebraska was so good. But especially now with the decline, if you get beat up on a Saturday, it could affect you for 2 more or 3 more Saturdays.
Do you think how much of so 2 questions here. One, the first one, do we know Trev's scheduling philosophy? Because Rule's looking at it from the on-field. Trev's also cognizant of the on-field, but he also has to be well aware of butts and seats, especially when you're about to undertake over the next 4 years what Nebraska is going to do, and then banking on the program will be in a good spot where you won't have to worry about asking people to come back. Do we know what Trev's scheduling philosophy is?
No. And what's partly interesting about this is now, okay, Trev, if in my role, I'd kind of like to know: are you going to play Tennessee down the line because they're on the schedule down the line? Are you going to play Oklahoma down the line? I think that's 2028, and 29. Are you going to keep them on? Cincinnati's upcoming, Arizona's upcoming. Are those staying on the schedule? Now, if you're Trev Albert, do you want to answer that question? Do you want to say no? We're going to be trying to get out.
We went through this before.
It's tricky. It's a tricky thing for an AD to tell the fan base, we're trying to remove, if that's the case, which I don't know. But Rule's comments sort of beg the question, right? You're going to keep those Power 5 games? And to your point, I don't. It's such a subjective conversation with people. I think some people they're just happy to be over at the stadium seeing a game on a fall Saturday, Gary. There's others that would say, "Oh no, I'm not going to watch Furman. I'm not going to do that. I'll do something else that day." It's just, but it just depends who you're talking to.
Well, and I think it's also the age. I think this is depending on your age, that kind of conversation where, hey man, I only get 8 Saturdays. I'm going to go. And then maybe a different fan and maybe a younger fan is like, you know what? My return on investment hasn't been great. I'll wait and see, but I'm not going to pay to come watch Fordham play. Come on.
Right. No, that's why I don't like to throw a blanket over it. When it just about with any subject when it comes to fans, I just don't. It just depends. Sometimes it just depends who you're talking to, what age, what kind of mood they're in. Sometimes, I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know how people would react to it if you pulled those games. The schedule lightened up considerably. Who would it bother, and who wouldn't it bother? It's hard to say.
Yeah. So on those lines, and man, we love college football. College football in season is great. College football out of season is an absolute mess. And this week has been about playoff. So listening to Rule's comments about scheduling, seeing what the Big Ten and the SEC are after, we thought we'd have 12. Now we might have 14. Who knows what's going on? But how do you think the expanded college football playoff, when you are in one of the big two, is changing or forming how Rule looks at the big picture of where Nebraska is fitting in the landscape of this sport?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly where you're going with that question. I don't know. It's hard to get in his mind on that. I think that your objective, obviously, as the leader of Nebraska's program, is to get your team in the playoff, right? That's what it is, right? To give put your team in position to win the championship. And I think that's where he's coming from in the schedule. It's purely where he's coming from in the scheduling talk, I think, is that we can still get there. And why make it? It's just simple. You read the same thing I read from Tom Chattel. Why make it tougher than it has to be?
Yeah.
Now you can answer that question though. There is a why. You alluded to it, because fans have to pay a lot of money, and they want to be entertained. And it's harder than ever to get them to that stadium. A lot of them. So that there is a why, actually, but that's not. Doesn't it boil down to this? That's not the head coach's issue. That's the AD's issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But see, they don't have the same job. Matt Rule's job isn't to concern himself with the business side necessarily. It's to win,
right,
and get himself in position to play for a championship. The AD is the businessman. He has to worry about that other element.
Yeah, and then there's the element of the AD has also played the game. So there's the unique vantage point that Trev has that not a lot of fellow athletic directors have.
Yeah, and Trev, probably like a lot of his peers that have played at Nebraska, has an old school bent, and that is what we'll take on all comers.
Yep.
Well, I don't care who it is. Now, that's not what you're hearing from Matt Rule. You're not hearing that anymore. That's a jolt to some Nebraska fans. Wait a second. We used to be, we'll take on anybody.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of another sign of we're different now. It's dropped off. You're not that program anymore. Maybe you'll get there, and at that point, if you're there, if you become a consistent top 10, top 5 team again, Rule might answer that question differently.
I absolutely agree with you. Sip, as always, I appreciate it. Glad you made it safely through the alley.
Take care.
See you, Sip.
Steve Sipple. This is we're now on the 4th day of talking about this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's important to people. There's nothing wrong with Nebraska's scheduling philosophy. You play a program game where you got to buy a program from the guy that sells outside of West Stadium, and he's been doing it for almost 50 years. His name escapes me right now, but he's got the programs in the cart. You walk by him. You play one of those games. Yep. You play the Paper Tiger, and then you play a team that is noteworthy. Nebraska's been doing that forever. There's nothing wrong with that formula. And I believe that formula will continue. I think it will. It gives you one challenging game, and then it gives you 2 games where your head's probably going to be above water and you're going to be a significant favorite. Nebraska's been doing that for years. There's no reason to change it, and I don't think it's going to change. Now, the Cincinnati game isn't going to come off the books because they had to work to get that game moved to Indianapolis. So that game's not coming off the books. I don't think all of a sudden you're going to start erasing the Tennessee series and those. You might not add to them, add any juicy ones down the road, but the 1-1-1 has worked forever around Nebraska, and I don't know why it would need to change. And I still don't think it's going to be like, well, we got to blow that up.
Right. It's not all of a sudden you're going to be littered with FCS teams and group of 5 teams. The part that you bring up about the fans' reaction, especially with the stadium having the renovation, and so you have that uncertainty there, and you want to come back and feel like, okay, your return on investment is going to be seeing some good home games. I am curious too, because I remember this back in like the 90s when you would get the occasional Pacific game, but I mean, at least that was accompanied by, like you said, you got to pull out the program type game, but you would get like a UCLA or you would get a Texas Tech in there as well. I don't remember a lot of backlash or a lot of people complaining that, okay, you got to play Pacific or you got to play like a North Texas, because I think you had some other home venue or home events with reputable teams, but also you're winning.
Yeah.
Like
that's a big point. If you're winning right now, this isn't a discussion.
Exactly. I think you're okay with what the program decides to do. And I think in return to Matt Rule is looking at a formula that, hey, we're winning with this formula. Why would we want to change it? There's no need to. So I do think the fact that you have not had that type of success, and some of those losses have come in conference play, I understand where his thinking is, but I think it becomes a moot point once you're getting to the 8-9 wins, and then you're kind of going off of how that scheduling model is. You stick to it going forward, because I think it's a fair model. It's better than what Michigan does. It's better than what some schools do, but it's when you start winning in the conference, and Nebraska's yet to do that on a consistent basis.
See, they're in about a 3-year window to make it pop because of your fan base. Yeah, you're going to downsize your stadium. You're going to make it nicer.
Yep.
But you're going to kick some people out for a couple of years, and there's no guarantee that they're going to come back. You can't just say, hey, GBR. They're going to be like, especially if they be coming back to a product that looks exactly the same.
Right, exactly.
So you got about a 3-year window to really make it pop. So you have to make Nebraska football a priority again.
Yep.
I don't care if they're playing Jimmy's, Pop Warner team. You have to make Nebraska football on a Saturday a priority for fans, that they're there to watch Nebraska. And the opponent is really not a discussion point. They're coming to watch Nebraska play. They just happen to play Pacific. They happen to be playing Washington State. Oh, look, Arizona State's coming in here.
Yeah.
So you got about a 3-year window to make this pop for on the field and then off the field. So you keep your fans that are getting displaced, and maybe you welcome someone in that go, you know what? I haven't gone to Memorial Stadium a long time because, God, it's uncomfortable. Now I want to check this out.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, 58 past the hour. Brian Edwards coming up in the next hour. We will talk about the college football playoff and whatever is going on. And ask yourself this. So the SEC and the Big Ten that is handling all the revenue, and they've got the biggest voices and the most powerful man in athletics, Craig Sankey, is running the SEC. What's best for both of those conferences right now? What's best? Because they made some noise yesterday, and the next thing you know, we could go to 14 as long as 8 of them belong to the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yep.
We'll get into that in the last hour of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
Hey guys, it's Nick for Hims. How many times as a guy have you heard, hey, you need to fix that? Whether it's something at home, whether it's something at work, or it's your overall healthy lifestyle. You're always looking for the fix. Well, the good news is Hims can help you. Through Hims, you can upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence, help you feel like yourself again. So if you want to regrow your hair, have better sex, or tackle anxiety and depression, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com and do something about it. The entire process is 100% online, so the conversation stays between you and a medical provider that you can chat with through hims.com. And since it's all online, that means no doctor's offices and no pharmacies, just solutions that can bring real results. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/start. That's hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/START.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind. The new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Creighton Sports Update.
It's a big Blue Jay athletic weekend. The Creighton men's tennis team kicks things off tomorrow at the Hanscom Tennis Courts as they host Doane at 12:30, followed by the Creighton women against Omaha at 7 p.m. Saturday, women's basketball hosts their pink out game versus Villanova at 11 a.m., followed by men's tennis versus Omaha at 7 p.m. For information, to purchase tickets, or to follow along on all things Creighton athletics, visit gocreighton.com.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Woodhouse GMC is bringing you more for the new year. With every new GMC purchase from Woodhouse, we're including 3 years of scheduled maintenance. Plus, with our current finance offers going on now, you'll save even more. Receive up to $6,500 off MSRP on the 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT. Woodhouse GMC. We are professional grade. With approved credit, must have 2010 or newer trade-in to qualify. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires March 4th, 2024. See dealer for details.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, little baseball here. Spring training starts today. I'm going to check in on the Dodgers and the Padres.
Buried the
See those
lead. Ohtani's not playing.
Uniforms. So one of the most, I think the biggest picture of the offseason was taken yesterday for the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Ohtani and Yamamoto were together. You don't think that picture in Japan is everywhere today? It's one of the top pictures that will be taken all year. It was media day yesterday across Major League Baseball. That's why you saw the flood of the pictures of the white pants. It is absolutely atrocious that Major League Baseball is going to have their players wear papier-mâché pants where you can see their shirts tucked in.
Yep.
And in some cases,
you can see the shirt tails.
You can see if a guy's wearing a jock or not.
Yep.
The fact that this
they look so cheap.
The fact that this is a storyline.
Yeah.
Fanatics, you suck. Nike deserves some bashing as well. This is absolutely awful that they look like they're wearing these cheap uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, who is working in quality control?
Yeah.
I mean, Fanatics is super popular. Caitlin Clark has the #1 jersey on Fanatics. They had a Super Bowl party, and it was a monstrous party, and Fanatics is everywhere. But this is a colossal just disaster that Major League Baseball players who, the uniform is pretty important, but it's the last thing they want on their mind, is a story, and we reach the opening day of spring training. But if you see the picture of Ohtani and Yamamoto, again, it'll be one of the most popular photos of the entire year in Major League Baseball. Look at the pants.
Yep.
That is just wild. I mean, Costanza couldn't screw this up.
Gonna go cotton. All cotton. What a fabric. Yeah, they look so cheap. That's the thing, is supposedly, And I'd read this, I think it was from The Athletic, that these jerseys were supposed to be basically like from a retail standpoint, like $450 jerseys. Tell me that those things look like that. They don't look like a $450 jersey.
I'm no fit check guy. Okay, I did not participate in Omaha Fashion Week. And
it's a shame.
The discussion about these uniforms are for mobility and moisture management.
Yeah.
I could do better.
I would think especially a brand like Nike could do better.
And Nick, you love the game of baseball. The baseball and hockey to me are the two sports where the uniform is so important.
Oh, yeah.
They're the iconic uniforms in both of those sports. Now, I'm not saying football and basketball is not. I mean, basketball wears 46 different versions of the uniform.
It's hard to keep up with that.
But baseball, the uniform is the thing in baseball. And to screw this up?
Yep.
How?
And that's the thing. I don't get it, because as we have they put more money into this partnership with Nike designing for Fanatics and the Fanatics produced looks, all of that to me, I would think you partnered because you're going to have an even better product, and you're going to be testing that with athlete after athlete after athlete. That something like that, when you kind of stand back and look at a white uniform, you're like, oh, those pants are coming across a little too thin there.
They're see-through.
Yeah. Manfred's desperate for ratings.
Royals fans.
Maybe. Oh, there you go. All right.
Hey, Royals fans, when they see the uniform and then that big Quick Trip patch on the side, which great for Quick Trip because that's recognizable. I mean, it's so Midwestern.
It is.
But to
Casey's?
go, but it looks so out of place with the color scheme of the Royals uniform.
Yes.
But when you see the patch and then you see the pants, when the Royals are wearing white, you're gonna be like, "What have you done to my sport?"
It looks like you got these from a garage sale.
I've said this. I was very fortunate to be involved in Major League Baseball. Is at some point we're gonna have to find somebody that cares about baseball over marketing instead of marketing over the game of baseball. Because right now, baseball is secondary to. Let's try and market uniforms and let's attempt to market players. At some point, let's talk about the actual greatness that is going on. But this is just this is such
off to
a
a great
mistake.
start in the season.
Today is spring training.
Yeah,
there's
games
are
start
being
today.
played.
Yep,
and pictures are being shown where you can see a guy's nutsack.
Yep.
Okay.
He has two bats.
I don't know. I don't usually wear the see-through paper mache pants.
I try not to.
I mean, the last time I did that, I went to bet on Highlight because I thought that's what you did.
And it's warm and
First time I
humid
was
there.
in South Florida, I was like, hey, I think you got to wear the paper mache pants at Highlight. You know, I put a little mousse in my hair.
Well,
I'm not wearing those pants.
Think when these
I don't
guys-
expect professionals to wear that pants. I don't want people seeing my,
Think about that on a July hot day too, when you're sweating.
It's about moisture management.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Majestic, are you guys still doing
You grew up
anything?
in South Texas. Your ass is about moisture
what's Majestic
management.
doing these days? Are they still making uniforms?
Fanatics has been, I don't know if you buy much stuff, but Fanatics they've struggled for a while.
Yeah.
But the fact that Nike is involved as well, Nike deserves to get
They do
as well.
I would think a lot more. If
baseball.
Nike's involved, I would expect a lot more than what we're seeing right
But
now.
where's quality control?
Exactly.
How about having real players come in and test them out?
Exactly.
And say, hey, okay, can you put this on? And then somebody sits in front of them and goes, ooh,
Yes.
the fact that I can see your jersey tucked in through your pants.
Yep. Got your shirt tail. So what else am I going to see?
Good
Why do
job.
they call you Meat?
Good job.
Who just passed away?
Hey,
the
it's
other
Tripod. All right. Who? What?
Day. Meat? Oh yeah, we lost Meat the other day.
Hippie Calvin?
No, not that Meat.
Oh, okay.
Porky's Meat.
Oh, I'm like, what happened to Tim Robbins?
Seems like a good spot for a break.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. Still pretty slow dodge eastbound between I-680 and 72nd. There was a hazard reported at 72nd and Dodge. Proceed with caution if you will be in that area soon. Also a little slow dodge westbound between 52nd and 90th. No other slow-moving traffic or accidents to report at this time. Just remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Sometimes life throws you a curveball and you need a solution fast. A solution to help you make payroll, to save your house, to keep growing, or fund a startup, to fix a roof or other major repair. Saul's is your fast, local, confidential solution. Get the cash you need today with Saul's.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Woodhouse Lincoln wants to redefine your driving experience with our stunning lineup of Lincoln vehicles. Lease a 2023 Lincoln Nautilus for $499 a month for 39 months, 10,500 miles per year. Come visit us in store off 114th and Giles Road or online anytime at woodhouselincoln.com. With approved credit, security deposit waived, $1,500 down payment plus first payment, and $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/2024. See dealer for details.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said Maraca, senor, but his nose said, hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing. You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home this Wednesday to take on Seton Hall at 8 p.m. for a bide night and a blue out. Limited tickets are still available for this primetime Wednesday night matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Because the uniform in baseball is so important and they need to sell stuff, I mean, you're paying for also. Another part is the names on the back are not on a nameplate or embroidered.
Yeah.
They look like they're ironed on,
Yep.
which just gives off a cheap vibe.
Nice.
I do have faith that because the players are in an uproar and guys are going to be like, hey, it's affecting my performance, that there will be some tinkering, maybe going back to last year's uniforms or something will happen quickly. But this is a story on the opening day of spring training. It just, how can it even be a story in a sport which the uniform of the four major sports, the uniform is the thing. It's like you have franchises that is iconic, their uniform. And now it looks like, it's a cheap knockoff version that these Major League Baseball players are wearing.
Like those Hutch football uniforms when we were kids that they sold in the catalog. Yeah.
Yeah, you went to you had the Sears catalog. You got the helmet, and you got the uniform and the pants.
We've all had it.
Well, and so when I was coaching in Columbus, I was always in charge of, if we had to get new uniforms, like to kind of figure out a design, and then we'd go to, we'd work with like Nebraska Sporting Goods, and it was popular to, instead of getting like any type of sew on letters and numbers, to do like what they would do, like this, I think it's called like the supplemented look. So it's basically like, it's got a lot of color, and from far away, it does look like it's probably sewed on. But as you get closer, you could tell that it's just basically an iron-on look. That's what these things look like.
Yeah,
it's like the supplemented. And I remember one of the reasons that we like that is it was a lot cheaper than than sew on.
Why, when you have a discussion about, we will get into a funny discussion about age, and maybe you shouldn't be older than the players you're cheering for wearing their jersey. Hockey wearing the sweater to games is like a big deal.
Yeah.
And nobody looks at, you go to Omaha, Colorado College tomorrow night and somebody's wearing a Scott Parse jersey, a King Scott Parse jersey, and no one goes, "Oh, look at that 50-year-old wearing a."
Yeah.
No,
No,
hockey
it's
is a little bit
accepted.
different.
It's accepted.
But why whenever you get into a discussion about jerseys, is it always prefaced with, "I'm not a jersey guy, but."
Yeah, usually. Yeah,
Is it?
usually it's I'm not a jersey guy.
I'm not a jersey guy,
but
man, I do like those hockey sweaters.
Yeah.
Why do you always have to start with that?
I don't know, because in fact, just this year, I have a jersey and I've worn it once here, and I can't wait to my first Chicago Blackhawk game to see him playing. I have a jersey of an 18-year-old kid. He might be 19 now, but I have a Connor Bedard jersey. So, and I'm a lot older than him. I don't care.
You used to be.
You know how many Connor Bedard jerseys I'm going to see at a Chicago Blackhawk game? I don't care.
I think hockey is a little bit different now.
It is. It's accepted.
I have changed. When
you
I was a
wearing your
little
Yonkers the other
kid, when I was a little kid, I had a 16, and my buddy Jim Langan had a 31. So I was Chuck Long and he was Ronnie Harmon.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
But my jerseys now that I have, I frame. So I spend the money on a game worn jersey, and then I have it framed instead of buying a jersey and wearing
it. Yeah. I would say, and that's with my jersey wearing, the only one I ever really wear is a hockey sweater. Now, I've worn a Bears jersey to a Bears game in the last decade, but I got more jerseys that I would hang, that I actually do have hung, than I would actually
get
wear
an obscure
in public.
Bears jersey. An obscure player.
I had one.
I'm talking further back. You told me about your one.
Okay, my Johnny Knox jersey.
Yeah.
Like a Kevin Butler one.
Yeah, there you go. Maury Buford.
Well, I was talking to Connor about this during the crossover. We were going over, I don't know why, it was guys naming guys, and we're somehow gotten the 85 Bears, and I was talking about Matt Suey. And not Hideki.
You got a 26?
A 26 Matsui. And he's like, wait, Hideki? I'm like, no, Matt Suey. Not Hideki Matsui. Matt Suey. Fullback in the time that they used a fullback. And yeah, number 26. That would be a good one.
So I imagine watching some spring training games that they open up today, and the team that's wearing white pants, if you got high definition television,
you're going to get an eyeful.
You want to block out your kids watching that. Yesterday,
if you're lucky, one day. Kid.
Yesterday,
Daddy, that doesn't look like mine.
One day. Especially if you live in a tropical climate.
Sorry, I have a son.
Hey, if he looked at the screen and said, "That doesn't," if he did, he said, I would be like,
"Yeah, like,
what are you doing?
Good on you, man!
Hey.
Wow, you're gonna have a long, fruitful life."
The word
a lot of options.
The word hedgehog is going to mean something very different to you. All right,
take that,
different
Sonic.
note. Tough transition off of that.
Just do it. It's fine.
If you listen over on 1180 in the afternoons, CBS Sports Radio, Zach Gelb hosts a show. Look, he's one of the rare national guys that likes college sports. Like, he's a big college football guy. He loves to talk college football.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on a national show, it's NFL and NBA. But he likes to dive in. He likes to dive into college. So he'll talk about college football, and he likes college basketball as well. So he had Mac on yesterday, and good interview. I think it was a very insightful interview. If you haven't followed Creighton and you don't know much about what Mac's done here and this team, and what they've kind of built up on how they play and how the toughness, all that kind of stuff. So from that point, it's very enlightening. I give credit to both. So I give credit to Zach and I give credit to Mac, because he asked him about the rumors out there, and this was Mac's response. He said, "Quote: I've always said that if I had my choice, it would be to end my career at Creighton." Good for Mac because they're out there.
Moving's expensive.
A little bit yesterday was, off the momentum of beating and drubbing the number one team in the country and looking like Final Four potential, like that team looks familiar again. Wouldn't it be an opportune day to just announce an extension? And I said, well, you've been in the contract world, sir. It doesn't necessarily like overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, these things have to be hashed out and they're back and forth.
Going through representation.
There will be lawyers.
Yep.
And, people, Max 59, are going to be 59 in November. Got a great deal here. He's got a great life. Basketball aside, he's got a good life here. He got a lot of friends.
Yep.
He's very, very comfortable.
Very respected, well established,
Yeah.
everything.
So it's good to be Greg McDermott, but it's also you want to be taken care of. You want to have some security. You want to have so people are going, hey Mac, man, I want you here. I want you to finish the career, Mac. Contact your local athletic director and your local president and tell them how important it is for stability and consistency and to keep this party rolling.
Yep.
So you can say, hey, Mac, I want you to stay forever. I don't want you to leave. Bypass him and go straight above him.
Yep.
And, just let people know that that's what you want.
Yeah, those are the people that matter.
Your
in this
AD
decision.
and your president are the two more important people.
Right.
That's where I would go with this. But it would have been, nice to drop an extension yesterday and go, man, look, beat the number one team, and now Mac's going to be here for life. He's going to finish his career at Creighton. We know how that doesn't work, but good for the question that was asked, and then Mac for responding, because you can't go, well, I'm not going to, it's in season, I'm not going to respond to that.
Yeah.
No, I just said, hey, I've always said, if I had my choice.
And that's the question. That's the key part. If I had my choice,
Creighton.
Make sure that it is Mac's choice.
I know where he will not be going, DePaul.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there before anybody else jumps on that.
Well, but he's so familiar with the Big East. I mean, it'd be a natural transition, wouldn't it?
I still don't get why blowing out Tony Stubblefield was like the right play right now. Because at one point last night, Marquette was up 30. Were they up 35 in the first half? Because I saw watching the Nebraska-Indiana game, I saw the scroll. Well, I got an update on my phone. Oh, by the way, if you are into score apps, yesterday was a big day on score apps. You're not an Apple guy.
I'm not. I'm a Droid guy, and proud of it. No one's going to Droid shame me.
So Apple, I like the score app for score updates from all sports, but also you can punch in notifications, so it gives you don't have to be on the app the entire time. It'll give you notifications. So Apple did a sports scoreboard app yesterday.
Oh,
it's actually really good.
Isn't that cool for you Apple users? You know what? We Droid and Apple users though can unite over FaceTime. All the Apple user has to do is send a link, and then we're FaceTiming. So now we can FaceTime.
Do you have to send a link?
Yeah, you got to send a link.
I'm not going to send a link.
Yeah, I guess sorry. We haven't.
I mean, much like phone calls, I'm not.
We haven't collaborated
either.
that much, boys. But I'm just saying, we could FaceTime.
No calls, no
All right,
FaceTime.
so take your app, take your phone, whatever. Get a hold of your local Creighton athletic director and president, and just let them know. Those are the people.
You're right.
Those are the people you need to be talking to. All right, 22 past the hour.
Right.
We'll talk to Brian Edwards before the hour is over. Catch up on some tweets and some emails after Nebraska wins their first road game against Indiana. And people want to get into, would you fight Danny Hurley? If Danny Hurley told you as he was walking off the floor Tuesday night after being beat by Creighton, if you come over, I'll knock you out.
I'm telling you, I'm taking KG Wiry, Danny Hurley.
Hey, I'd love
over the student
I'd love
field.
Danny Hurley long time if he would have said, Mama said knock you out. Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
We have the Valentino's ice cream.
Oh, he's going to defend it. This is wild. This is wild. This is so gross.
It's not unlike, now I wouldn't eat this regularly, but it's a little like if you threw it in the freezer.
But blended it first.
Yeah, probably a little blended, but...
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Slightly cooler, but still plenty mild Thursday. Expect some clouds early on, then clearing out by the late morning. Plan on sunny and breezy conditions through the afternoon with northwest winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. Highs around 60. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. We're in the middle of the best time of the year of basketball season, with meaningful games every night, with 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. The games have never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout, 162nd and Maple.
The Nebraska Pool and Spa Expo on February 23rd through the 25th with 30 plus hot tubs and swim spas on display
from multiple manufacturers.
Up to 50% off retail pricing. Hot tubs from $44.99.
Same day delivery.
0% financing. Act now. Only 3 days. Come get factory direct savings on a new hot tub or swim spa.
This February 23rd through the 25th
at the Keystone Event Center. 3 days only. The Nebraska Pool and Spa Expo.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Thursday, February 22nd is your last chance to see Omaha Maverick men's basketball as they gear up for the conference tournament. Join the Maverick men for senior night as they take on Oral Roberts. This is always a classic matchup. Plus, with just 4 home games left, your Omaha Maverick hockey team takes on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup on Friday and Saturday night. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where HIMS comes in. Through HIMS, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
The season has flown by. It's February 22nd. Omaha men's basketball tonight is the last home game at Baxter Arena. An important game for seeding for the conference tournament. They take on Oral Roberts. There is no Max Asmus, but they have a guard named Isaac McBride, who was part of the Sweet 16 team and their NCAA tournament team last year. So 7 o'clock over at Baxter Arena. Final home game. If you can't get there, we'll be over on 1290 at 6:30 with the pregame. They have a weird schedule because there's 2 weeks left in the regular season. They play tonight. We're at Kansas City on Saturday, and then they play early next week, and then have the weekend off.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have like 10 days off before they play.
Now, does everybody else wrap up next Thursday, or there's some games next week?
Saturday.
Okay, there's games next
Saturday and then to the Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when we'll know the Summit League bracket then.
Right now, probably Omaha's got a shot, like 4th, 5th, or 6th.
Okay.
We're white. That was the goal.
Where they're trying to get their 3.5-point favorite tonight, trying to bounce back from that thing that happened on Saturday against South Dakota State.
Frankie goes for 40.
So I want to ask you that because I'm watching now what they were able to do against South Dakota State on the road, but then watching them at home this last weekend against South Dakota State. If you were to put South Dakota State and North Dakota in a neutral, I guess Summit League's not necessarily a neutral floor when it comes to South Dakota State, but in that tournament, who is a stronger team? Who would you take?
South Dakota State.
Okay.
But I don't think South Dakota State can beat Omaha 3 times in a season.
Yeah, Omaha should have won that game.
Yeah,
That was
all right.
That was rough. Anyway, also, hey, big thank you, Nebraska Prospects. We love you guys. You guys are awesome. They just dropped some hats. Did you know they got a St. Patrick's Day hat? If you're seeing this thing up on the stream there too, it's like it almost
looks like an Astros hat.
Yeah, well, kind of like or like a Minnesota North Stars type look.
Little
too.
Miami Hurricanes to them.
But and I know Gary, you wear these hats too. Like when we go out, and people are like, "Oh, is that like an alternative Nebraska hat?" They do awesome stuff. We always appreciate the guys in Nebraska Prospects. Obviously, good baseball players that come out of there as well. But big thank you for dropping some lids off to us, especially us guys that are a little more follically challenged and wear a lot more hats than others, like myself.
Speaking of Nebraska baseball, and I'm glad our listeners have taken up the torch and are attacking Nebraska. The fit check for Nebraska baseball is on point.
Mm-hmm.
Those big N hats, man. They got to go.
It looks weird.
They got to go.
So weird.
Bring back the skinny N.
One of y'all can't call Trev and make this happen.
No, that's a Trev thing.
Yeah, he likes the
the
only
block
thing they're
N.
not going to change is the football helmet.
The uniforms look great.
Yeah,
like their combos are fantastic.
They do look
but
good.
But when you have those uniforms and you have the cursive Nebraska,
and you have
the block N looks so out of place.
It does.
Yeah,
it's too much.
Too soon to say because they're in Phoenix to take on Grand Canyon for the next 4 days. Too soon, week 2, to say it's a pretty important series for Nebraska baseball?
It is, especially with a 4-game series starting tonight.
I think there were more positives than negatives
Agreed.
out of a 1-2 weekend, especially with so many new faces. At least you played good competition.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get a false sense of, we're going to be, it's like this weekend's a big weekend of progress for Nebraska baseball.
And
Grand Overbeek being out.
Yeah. And for I guess it's an undetermined amount of time, but for weeks, you don't like to hear that. And he had a very good weekend. Grand Canyon, they recruit well. They usually have pretty salty squad. This being a 4-game series too, you get a chance to see Drew Christo starting tonight, which I think also gives you an idea. Okay, where is he at? Can he factor into either the weekend rotation or into the midweek, which obviously is why he's getting that start, is if he's going to be tabbed as a midweek guy or possibly a weekend rotation guy. That I think from more of the discovery of what this team is going to be interesting to see in that tonight, but also it's almost kind of like, it almost has a feeling of like a hockey series of you got to at least split. You got to at least split in this one because Grand Canyon's got some guys. Great facility, by the way, too. That's a really nice ballpark that they get a chance to play at there that Grand Canyon calls home. But yeah, I would say at the very least, you need to come out of this thing with a split, feel good about it. I mean, you'll take a 3. I mean, obviously a sweep, but yeah, at the very bare minimum, you have to split this thing.
Over under on how many innings Drew Christo throws tonight. He's starting.
If I said it at 4,
I think I'd probably take that.
I would too.
So I think Sears and Walsh are going to be a nice 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
Clark's you got to give him more than 2+ innings.
Yeah, and you saw that with him last year too.
News out of South Bend this morning does not have to do with Notre Dame joining the Big Ten.
I just read this.
What happens first? There's a side note here. What happens first? Florida State joins a conference, or we go to 14 in the playoff?
14. That's easy.
Man, I think the Florida State thing is really starting to pick up.
Yeah, and
it may
Florida State. I don't know why I
it
thought you
may
said Notre
be
Dame.
not till 25.
Yeah,
but it just with the college football playoff talk, it seems like the Florida State to picking a destination is starting to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And now our discussion about Notre Dame yesterday, Notre Dame can't afford for the ACC to just fall apart.
No.
So is Florida State the domino that changes college football? Because then does that impact Notre Dame? Where do they go?
Well, Clemson wants out. They haven't been as vocal.
Or does Notre Dame make a full commitment to the ACC? But there's a lot of chatter about Florida State here in the last couple of days.
And I've been the one to say, all right, Florida State, we hear you, but financially, what are you going to do to get out of this? I think it's now taking on a different level. that there could be things in the works as far as either being able to take on that financial loss or be able to take on that, I guess, exit fee, if you will, which is an insane amount of money. But the question is, how bad do you want out? How bad do the decision makers want you out? And what type of a deal are you going to get with that next conference?
Yep.
And I think that is starting to become a little bit more of the reality of there are people that I think can soften that financial blow. I don't know exactly how it is. Now, from a legal standpoint, I think it is what it is. And I think they have exhausted everything they can. I think it comes down to, can you pay? Do you have people around you that can soften that financial blow? They're not going to take the entire tab, but can they make that a lot easier for you to endure that exit fee with the grant of rights with the ACC?
I'm really glad that we're never satisfied about college football. I think we should just tinker.
We
need the summer topics.
Literally 48 hours of talking about how, okay, we got a final 5-7 format, 12-team playoff. Let's go. Hey, let's talk about the 14-teamer now.
When the sport is in season, does a great job. When it's out of season, man, it can become a blank show. But back to Notre Dame, Jack Collinsworth is out as NBC's Notre Dame play-by-play voice. You'll be glad to know that Jason Garrett gets to stay.
Oh, good. But
Dan Hicks, who has become the number one guy on golf.
I like
NBC.
Dan Hicks.
Dan Hicks and Hannah Storm.
I am a
power couple.
I also like Dan Hicks on golf as well. So I think Dan Hicks will do a fine job.
The number one broadcast team for college football, Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge. They will now be the number one crew.
Yeah,
And
even when a Notre Dame game is bigger, they'll do it.
Yep. So
And Jack can focus on Peacock.
Sure.
Which games?
He's undefeated when he goes to Lincoln.
He is small. Like I've seen him at done a couple of Nebraska games.
Yeah.
Not a big fella. Dresses well though. He's got his sneaker game is on point.
Chris is what, 6? He's up there. What, about 6'2"? He's probably about my height.
He's decent height. Obviously, he's a receiver and good.
That's a shame. Dan Hicks. Now,
no. What is a shame is that Jason Garrett's going to continue to do games.
No, that's true.
surprising.
I could handle Jack Collinsworth. Jason Garrett is, hey, just tell me the obvious, okay?
Well, he's Irish.
He's bad. He's really, really bad.
Got to keep the Irish guy on. Come on. He looks Irish.
Other guys.
He looks Irish.
Liam Neeson.
Do we?
Good play.
All right. Brian Edwards will stop by
Watch
next.
the student body left.
Brian Edwards, I'm just going to tell you, Brian Edwards is livid this morning, like is beside himself.
Because of basketball?
Well, his Gators blew a lead last night
sure
at
did.
Alabama. Alabama quietly still has a game lead for first in the SEC, and Creighton beat them earlier in a great fan-friendly game back in December. But we had a people's elbow last night. There's video that was not dealt with of a guy from Alabama just basically going people's elbow on a Florida player.
Yeah, went on 1999 here. I love it.
But Florida blew a lead last night.
Yes.
Against Alabama. So his beloved Gators, he's not happy. But he's got a thought or two on two interesting Big Ten games tonight. Rutgers and Purdue and Minnesota and Ohio State. Minnesota, if they win tonight, they are salivating about the potential of what could happen on Sunday at PBA, because that is a quad one victory for Minnesota, who, like Iowa, trying to get on the good side of the bubble.
Yeah.
I know what's going on with Nebraska. If Minnesota ends up in the NCAA tournament, that is one of the better stories of college basketball, because Ben Johnson was going to be Nico Medved, and the season hadn't even started. And if they make the tournament, now they got some work to do. They almost have to get to Saturday in Minneapolis in the Big Ten tournament. But the fact that they're still in the mix to be 5 or 6, that's pretty impressive. But that's a big game for them tonight. And B. Edwards has got some thoughts on that. Also, the NBA is back tonight, and we'll talk to him next on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska-brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
The GOAT is coming to Kansas City. Sporting KC will host Inter Miami and Lionel Messi, the greatest of all time, at the loudest stadium in the world. See Johnny Russell, Alan Pulido, and the rest of your hometown team take on Messi, Luis Suarez, and more at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium on Saturday, April 13th. It's the soccer capital of America versus the greatest of all time. Get your tickets while you still can at sportingkc.com.
You can find pizza anywhere, but when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Get pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home this Wednesday to take on Seton Hall at 8 p.m. for a bide night and a blue out. Limited tickets are still available for this primetime Wednesday night matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
New Year's resolutions start and end at Level Countertops, Cabinets, and Flooring in Elkhorn. Is your resolution this year to get organized, and take your kitchen to the next level? They create a unique space that's not only beautiful, but functional and organized. They come to you, listen to your needs, and create your functional design. For all your cabinet and organizational needs, visit their beautiful showroom at Level Countertop, Cabinets, and Flooring, 192nd in West Maple, or online at levelomaha.com. That's levelomaha.com.
Woodhouse Lincoln wants to redefine your driving experience with our stunning lineup of Lincoln vehicles. Lease a 2023 Lincoln Nautilus for $499 a month for 39 months, 10,500 miles per year. Come visit us in store off 114th and Giles Road or online anytime at woodhouselincoln.com. With approved credit, security deposit waived, $1,500 down payment plus first payment, and $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/2024. See dealer for details.
Hi, this is Stacey McGilligan, Director of Sales for NRG Media Omaha. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished bilingual new business development salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to the next level. Is this you? Our multimedia account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG Media lets you make a real difference in our community. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, time for our senior handicapper from VegasInsider.com. It is Brian Edwards. I'm just going to start. You can go on a rant about what happened at Alabama last night. The officiating, the result between Alabama and Florida. Good morning. Go.
Good morning, gentlemen. Oh, man, I had to check in the Heartbreak Hotel. Tough one. That 12-6 elbow that got John Jones is the only career loss. Couldn't even get a common foul. Couldn't even get a common foul.
It's not a common foul.
In Tuscaloosa last night. Tough one.
Yeah, you know what? That was, that was a heck of a game. I've told you this. I think, you have Billy Donovan, Mike White, Todd Golden is going to work out. I really, really like what they're doing. They're 18-8. They're in the tournament. They're probably going to be in that 8, 9, maybe a 7 seed. But I think Florida basketball is in a good spot right now.
I agree. I think we're playing as good as anybody right now. The last 9 games, 7-2. The only losses in overtime at Bama. Obviously, could have won that. Could have, would have, should have won at Texas A&M either 2 or 3 Saturdays ago. Lost by 1, but led most of the second half. Yeah, I think Florida is hot. I mean, playing the way we played the last 9 games. I think we can get out of the first weekend. It depends on matchups, obviously, but might be looking at a 2 seed in a 2-7 matchup. So I think if you're a high seed, I don't think you want to see the Gators in the round of 32. So I'm pleased with where we're at.
You're all business with Florida though, because I mean we've talked about even in college football. Well, I guess sometimes you've had Florida on the losing end of some of your picks, but you'll go in on Florida if you feel the matchup's right. Does that also go with basketball?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll go on them or against them.
Can emotionally hedge.
I didn't have the Gators in my pick pack last night, but when I saw that Latrell Wrightsell was out and Alabama had moved to 10, I grabbed a little bit of Florida at +10. So, but I wish I'd had it in my pick pack, but it wasn't that generous of a line yet. We have to have it in more than an hour before tip.
Hey, this line, probably because it's Purdue and it's Rutgers, is awful big tonight. They've split their last 6 meetings. They're playing at Mackey Arena now. 5 of those 6 games have been decided by single digits. The line looks too good to be true with that past history that Purdue is a 15.5-point favorite tonight against Rutgers.
Yeah, I got to go with Rutgers here. They're playing well. They were on a 4-game winning streak. Had that snap last time out at Minnesota on Sunday, but they've won. They won their 2 previous road games, and like you said, they've had good success against Purdue head-to-head. They won outright in West Lafayette last year. They're 5-3 straight up, 7-0-1 against the spread in the last 8 head-to-head meetings. And the reason I think Zach Edey, Big Cliff Amori is a pretty good defending option. He makes Edey work for everything he gets. One of the best, rim protectors in the country, averaging 3.3 block shots per game. And Purdue, I know they're in bounce back mode here, but I just still think the numbers is too rich, especially Rutgers playing some of its better basketball of the season the last couple weeks, and the head-to-head success. And Purdue is mired in a 2-4 against the spread slump, and they've won by double digits only once in the last 6 games. So give me Rutgers +15.5.
I think I know where Gary's money's going tonight on the next Big Ten game, because it doesn't get much better as far as ATS numbers as what Minnesota has right now.
22-3, B.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. As they host Ohio State at the Barn, and we're looking at Minnesota is sitting as a 3.5-point home favorite. That's got to be the play, right?
Yep, got to go with the Gophers here, like Gary just noted. 22-3 against. I mean, this is one of the best ATS teams in the country in many years. They've been outstanding at home, 14-3 straight up, 16-1 ATS. So Ohio State is winless in 7 road games, 2-5 ATS, and got to go with the Gophers here, laying the 3.5. Ohio State kind of in a letdown spot after the big win over Purdue, which you get the interim coach. The coach gets fired. Normally, that first game is normally a good play on for teams, with the interim coach first game, but then it kind of, reality sinks back in after that big effort the first time out.
Hey, let's talk about a total FAU and SMU. Now, I actually like FAU to beat the spread at home, which is I've got it 4.5. But SMU's got some defensive issues. They're giving up some big numbers, nearly 80 in the last 2 games. FAU's defense better at home, but the total is at 153. Are we going over or under?
We're going to go over. The over is hit in 4 straight for SMU and is on a 9-2 run in its last 11. And one of those 2 unders in SMU's last 11 had 156 combined that would have gone over tonight's number. The over is 7-4 for FAU in its last 11. Combined scores like 169, 159, 163, 215, 172, 177, and 176. I think we get a lot of points. Give me over 153 or 153.5.
And the Association Warriors creeping over 500 now, too. And the Lakers, again, a team that is just barely over. But right now, they are on the road in San Francisco. Looking at that line at Golden State, laying 6 to 6.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, I got a better number early in the week before LeBron was downgraded to out. But, I mean, I still like it at -6. Golden State playing really good before the All-Star break, 8-2, both straight up and ATS. And one of the two losses in overtime at Atlanta, the other loss by 1 to Red Hot Phoenix. And 6 of the 8 recent wins in the last 10 games for the Warriors have been by 11 points or more. The Lakers are only 11-17 straight up, 12-16 ATS on the road. So let's go with Golden State tonight.
So we are back in the NBA after the scintillating All-Star game on Sunday night. So you're doing if I'm reading this correctly, you're doing a money line parlay tonight?
Correct, with all home favorites. Let's go with the Cavs at home to Orlando. Let's go the Pelicans at home to the Rockets. Let's go the Jazz at home to the Hornets, and the Kings at home to the Spurs. That 4-team moneyline parlay, just need the home favorites to win outright at home. Should get back about a +184, 85 return.
Yeah, I was looking because I was looking at the inner workings of the Sacramento San Antonio. They have a couple of decisions that they're making game time in terms of injuries or illness, I believe.
I did see Sabonis doubtful.
Yeah.
Is there another one? As long as it's not De'Aaron Fox, I'm still good with it.
Yeah, I think Sabonis and I might have been a bench player, but once I saw Sabonis, I was like, But I like where you're going with that. And thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend. Great job as always. Enjoy a couple of Big Ten. And you know what? We are getting closer. 3 weeks? We'll be talking March Madness on this Thursday.
Yeah, I hope my Gators get sent to Omaha. Maybe we can meet.
I know.
in studio.
Hey, that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
We hope it happens.
But, I got two. I do a lot of radio in Memphis for the past decade, too, and that's another first-round spot. So if it's either spot, as long as my flight is not going to be like $2,000 on a week's notice, I'm going to try to do it.
Well, hey, as I told you, I'm a big fan of Todd Golden. I think they made a really, really good hire. I know you hate the athletic director, but I think he got that one right. I can't believe that they let that go last night. And in the day and age where there's so much review, that they let that elbow go on the Florida guy.
He's got to be suspended, doesn't he?
Well, I would think in the Birmingham office today, they're looking at it. They have to be.
Got to.
Yeah.
Have to be.
Yep. B, have a great weekend. Thank you.
Y'all as well, guys. Thanks.
That's our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards. If you didn't see it, there was a battle for a loose ball last night on the floor, and Florida player had it. Alabama guy comes in and bam, goes with the 12-6 elbow.
Yep. It was it Muhammad Wag, right? That saying he's probably facing a suspension too. So, but you're right. You don't even get a common foul called in that one. That's
like the NBA I grew up going to.
Well, that was
like a Bill Laimbeer.
Okay, so interesting. That happened. If you were watching the end of, and in Florida and Alabama went to overtime, and Alabama won the game. Here's another. Yeah, well, LSU. So
Angel Reese gets pummeled.
Well, I was looking at the men's game.
Yeah, but she goes to celebrate. And she gets knocked down.
But how about LSU? Their last 2 games to rally and against 2 top 10 AP teams.
Yeah.
They went South Carolina. Now
what were they down? Okay, not last night.
They were down 16 to South Carolina, down 17
right,
last
16,
night, and came back, and they won, ironically, both by 1.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing we have not talked about to finish the show about last night's game and officiating, which I thought the officiating was fine. I mean, it didn't factor in. So there you go. 2 good games. Like the Creighton UConn game, officiating was not a factor at all. Officiating was not a factor last night, except for the one. It's an out of bounds play where it was tipped out of bounds by Indiana. Kelly Pfeiffer signals it's Nebraska ball. And Eric Curry, who is standing over by Hoiberg near midcourt, comes running from 50 feet away to tell Kelly Pfeiffer he got it wrong.
And then they reversed it. He got it right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They gave the ball to Indiana, but on the replay, it was clear that Kelly Pfeiffer was right. And I don't know, man. That was not a good look. because it's not like Kelly Pfeiffer is a young official.
Yeah.
I mean, he has stood toe-to-toe and stared in the eyes of Fran McCaffrey. He's worked in the Final Four.
Yes, he has.
But that was really awkward last night that Eric Curry all of a sudden just took over the game and took over that call.
Remember the two
And Kelly
previous...
didn't even bat an eye.
I honestly feel like that was a product of the home environment, because remember the two previous you had close like tips that went out of bounds, and it looked like at first like, I think they got it wrong. They gave it to Nebraska, and they stuck with it. They kept it with Nebraska. That happened twice, and the crowd was kind of up in arms. Remember, Pfeiffer had to, at that one point, actually had to calm everybody down. But the review, it solidified that, no, they got that call right, even though the fans didn't like it. So it was almost like another one that was going Nebraska's way, that he felt, no, okay, I got it. Curry's got it. Curry comes over, I got to get in on this and make sure that this doesn't happen again. It wasn't like people are going to throw stuff on the floor, but it almost felt like, we owe Indiana one. That's how I saw it.
Eric Curry likes Eric Curry. So Eric Curry likes when fans like him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think happened there. He felt some peer pressure.
The reaction, I wish they would have shown it on the replay, or brought it up. The reaction of Hoiberg once Eric Curry started to run towards Kelly Pfeiffer, you thought Hoiberg was ready to show some emotion.
Yeah. Didn't he? Did a pen come out of his hand or something?
I think something. He jumped in the air and it was like, what?
Yeah.
But it ended
it
up
all
going
worked
well
out
for Nebraska.
Yes,
all
it
right.
all worked out.
Omaha tonight taking on Oral Roberts. We'll see if Red, Blue, and Black Nebraska can go for the sweep this week.
Yeah, go get them.
3 weeks from today.
What are you guys wearing tonight? Do you know?
It will be last home game. Might be black on black.
Okay, it's a good look.
It's an attitude.
That's at 7. Baxter can't make it. 6:30 over on 1290. We're back in tomorrow at 6. Crossovers coming up next. For Nick, for Jimmy, I'm Gary. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is